Damsel to the Demon by Celeste King.
Dark elves, forbidden romance, and a wedding gone terribly wrong. This story really takes us to some intense places.
And let's be honest, who can resist a demon ally with vengeance on his mind?
Well, when you're fighting against dark elf oppression, you need all the supernatural help you can get.
Speaking of supernatural, you know where to find all the steamy details that YouTube can't handle, right?
Worlds of Protheka.com, where the real action happens. And with code YouTube30, you'll get 30% off.
Now let's get back to Mercedes and her fight for survival. Her story won't narrate itself.
Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more free audiobooks.
Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Mercedes and Azaruk's journey.
This is Celeste King's Damsel to the Demon. Chapter 1. Mercedes. The needle pricks my finger for the 100th time, but I barely notice. My eyes are fixed on the simple white dress spread before me, a canvas of hopes and dreams stitched together over countless nights. Just one more, I mutter, threading the needle through delicate fabric. To the average bridezilla, the dress isn't much to look at. No fancy lace or shimmering beads. Just a plain white gown, lovingly crafted from scraps I've collected over months. But to me, it's everything. I smooth my hand over the skirt, picturing how it will look as I walk down the aisle. Will he smile when he sees me? My heart flutters at the thought. A knock at the door startles me from my reverie. Mercedes? You in there? Come in, Marta. The door creaks open, and Marta, the town's eldest resident, shuffles inside. Her eyes widen as she takes in the dress. Oh, child, it's beautiful. I beam with pride. You really think so? I tried to make it just like you described. Marta nods, running her gnarled fingers over the fabric. White as snow, just like in the old days. You've done well, Mercedes. I just hope it's enough, I say, biting my lip. I want everything to be perfect. Marta chuckles. Perfect. In this world, you're lucky to have a wedding at all, girl. She's right, of course. Most humans don't bother with such frivolities anymore. But I can't help myself. The stories Marta's told me of grand celebrations, of love and hope. I want a piece of that, even if it's just for one day. As Marta helps me into the dress, my mind drifts to Thomas. I remember the day we met, two scrawny kids sneaking off to play in the wheat fields. We'd spend hours chasing each other through the golden stalks, our laughter echoing across the land. Even then, I felt something special with him. Years passed, and our friendship deepened. Thomas was there when I lost my mother, holding me as I cried, and I stood by him when his father was taken for the dark elves' labour camps. Through it all, our bond only grew stronger. There, Marta says, smoothing the fabric. You're ready. I twirl, watching the skirt flare out. How do I look? Marta's eyes mist over. Like hope itself, child. Like hope itself. Another knock interrupts our moment. My heart leaps. I know that steady, firm rap anywhere. Come in, Papa. The door swings open, and there he stands. My father, tall and broad-shouldered, fills the doorframe. His weathered face breaks into a smile that crinkles the corners of his eyes. Look at you, he says, voice gruff with emotion. My little girl, all grown up. I rush to him, careful not to wrinkle the dress. His arms wrap around me, strong and secure. The familiar scent of pine and leather envelops me, bringing back memories of childhood hunts and late-night stories by the fire. You look beautiful, Mercedes, he whispers, pressing a kiss to my forehead. I step back, blinking rapidly to keep the tears at bay. Really? You like it? He nods, eyes shining. Your mother would be so proud. The mention of Mama makes my throat tighten. I wish she could be here, but I know she's watching over us. I have something for you, Papa says, reaching into his pocket. He pulls out a delicate silver chain with a small, polished stone pendant. It was your mother's. She wanted you to have it on your wedding day. The tears I've been holding back spill over. Oh, Papa. He fastens the necklace around my neck, his calloused hands gentle against my skin. The stone rests cool against my collarbone, a tangible link to the mother I lost too soon. Thank you, I whisper, touching the pendant reverently. Papa clears his throat, clearly fighting his own emotions. Now, are you ready to get married? I nod, a smile breaking through my tears. More than ready. He offers his arm, and I take it, feeling like a princess from one of Marta's tales. As we step out of the room, I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. The simple white dress, the precious necklace, my father's proud smile. It's more perfect than I ever dreamed. For this moment, I forget about the dark elves, the hardships, the uncertain future. Today, I'm just a bride, walking towards love and hope. Papa leads me down the narrow stairs of our home, my heart racing with each step. The worn wooden floorboards creak beneath our feet, a familiar sound that grounds me in this surreal moment. Our small living room has been transformed. Wildflowers picked from the nearby fields adorn every surface, their sweet scent filling the air. A handful of mismatched chairs face the far wall, where old Marta stands, her wizened face beaming. I scan the room, taking in the familiar faces. Aunt Lena dabs at her eyes with a handkerchief, while Uncle Jace gives me a reassuring wink. My childhood friend, Elena, grins from ear to ear, bouncing her toddler on her knee. And then I see him. Thomas. My best friend, my love, my soon-to-be husband. He stands at the end of our makeshift aisle, his smile brighter than any sun I've ever seen. My breath catches in my throat. He looks so handsome. I can't believe this is really happening. He's wearing his best shirt, the one with only a single patch on the elbow, and his cleanest pair of trousers. To anyone else, he might look ordinary, but to me, he's the most handsome man in the world. I can't believe I get to marry him. Papa squeezes my arm gently, and we begin our walk. Each step brings me closer to Thomas, closer to our future together. His eyes never leave mine, and I feel a blush creep up my cheeks. When we reach him, Papa places my hand in Thomas's. The familiar calluses of his palm against mine send a shiver down my spine. Thomas, Papa says, his voice gruff with emotion. You take care of my little girl, you hear? Yes, sir, he replies, his gaze still locked on mine. With my life. Papa nods, satisfied, and steps back. And suddenly, it's just Thomas and me, standing before old Marta and our tiny gathering of loved ones. You look beautiful, he whispers, his eyes shining. I can't help but grin. You clean up pretty well yourself. He chuckles, the sound wrapping around me like a warm blanket. It's the same laugh I've known since we were children, sneaking off to play in the fields. The same laugh that's comforted me through every hardship, every loss. And now, it's the laugh I'll wake up to every morning for the rest of our lives. Marta clears her throat, drawing our attention. Her eyes twinkle as she begins the ceremony, her voice cracking with age but filled with warmth. We gather here today to witness the union of Mercedes and Thomas, she says, her words wrapping around us like a comforting embrace. I squeeze his hands, my heart swelling with joy. This is real. This is happening. Despite everything, we've found our slice of happiness. Mercedes, Thomas begins, his voice low and earnest. From the moment we met as children, I knew you were special. Your kindness, your strength, your unwavering hope. You make me want to be better, to fight harder, to dream bigger. Tears prick at my eyes as he continues. I promise to stand by your side through every storm and every victory, to love you fiercely and completely for all of our days. I take a shaky breath, ready to pour out my heart in return. Thomas, you've been my rock, my shelter, my... The door crashes open with a thunderous bang. Time seems to slow as I turn, my white dress swirling around me. 5 dark elves stride into our home, their black armour glinting in the dim light. Their faces are cold, impassive, as they survey the scene before them. "What's going on here?" the dark elf captain demands, his voice like ice. The room falls deathly silent. I feel Thomas's grip on my hands tighten protectively. Aunt Lena gasps, clutching her handkerchief to her mouth. Uncle Jace stands, his fists clenched at his sides. Elena hugs her child close, fear etched across her face. Papa steps forward, his shoulders squared. "It's a wedding, sir. We have permission for this gathering." The captain's eyes narrow, sweeping over our modest decorations, our handful of guests. His gaze lingers on me, taking in my simple white dress. A sneer tugs at his lips. "A wedding?" he scoffs. "How quaint." I swallow hard, fighting to keep my voice steady. "Please, sir, we're not causing any trouble. We just want—" "Silence, human," he snaps, cutting me off. I don't recall giving permission for such frivolity. He strides forward, his armour clanking ominously in our tiny living room. The scent of leather and metal overwhelms the sweet perfume of wildflowers. I feel Thomas shift slightly, angling his body to shield me. "Who gave you permission to marry, girl?" The captain's gaze pins me in place. My heart plummets as the dark elf captain's cold eyes bore into me. The joy of moments ago evaporates, replaced by a chill that seeps into my bones. What is he doing here? This can't be happening. My mouth goes dry. We thought... "You thought wrong," he snarls. "Humans don't get married. They breed when told, nothing more."
Chapter 2. Azaruk. The scent of blood and fear hangs thick in the air as I materialize in the shadows of the dark elf's opulent chamber. My talons itch to sink into flesh, but I resist the urge. Business first. I've been summoned here often enough to know the drill, yet each time the lavish decor takes me aback. Crystal chandeliers, tapestries woven with threads of gold, and furniture carved from the bones of long-extinct creatures. "Azaruk," the elf drawls, his silver eyes gleaming with malice. "I have a job for you." I cock my head, tail swishing behind me. "I'm listening, Lord Vexus." Vexus saunters to an ornate altar, his robe swishing against the polished obsidian floor. My gaze follows, curious. He lifts a velvet cloth, revealing a crystal jar. My breath catches. Inside float 2 perfect orbs, eyes of the most exquisite shade I've ever seen. Iridescent, shifting between deep purple and vibrant teal as the light hits them. Rare. Precious. I must have them. "Beautiful, aren't they?" Vexus's lips curl into a smirk. "Plucked from a water nymph. One of a kind." My tail twitches with excitement. These would be the crown jewel of my collection, outshining even the golden eyes of the sun phoenix I acquired last year. "What's the job?" "Simple. An assassination." He produces a scroll, unfurling it to reveal a portrait. This noble elf. He's been inconvenient. I study the face. High cheekbones, pointed ears, haughty expression. Typical elf nobility. "Where?" "Protheka. The Summer Palace." "Protheka?" My interest peaks. The city is a hub of dark elf politics, ripe with intrigue and danger. Perfect for a demon like me. "Consider it done." Vexus's smirk widens. "Excellent. Complete the task, and these beauties are yours." He pauses, his silver eyes narrowing. "But be warned, Azaruk. This target is well connected. Failure is not an option." I nod, already savoring the thought of those exquisite eyes in my collection. One-off contracts like these suit me perfectly. No messy soul-binding, just a simple exchange. My freedom remains intact, and I get to indulge in my hobbies. This should be an easy job, I muse as I materialize in Protheka's bustling streets. The summer palace looms ahead, its ivory spires gleaming in the sunlight. I blend into the shadows, my red-tinged skin and demonic features hidden from prying eyes. The city thrums with life, dark elves in elaborate robes, humans scurrying about on errands, and the occasional demon like myself, cloaked in illusion. But as I observe my target, my confidence wavers. This noble dark elf isn't just any pompous aristocrat. He's pure blood, his status evident in the way others defer to him. And those guards, they never leave his side, forming an impenetrable wall of steel and magic. Damn, I hiss, tail lashing in frustration. My keen eyes catch a glint at the elf's throat, an amulet pulsing with anti-demon magic. This complicates things. I retreat to a nearby rooftop, mind racing. Why such heavy protection? Has word of recent demon attacks reached the higher echelons of elf society? The thought unsettles me. If they're on high alert, this job just got a lot more challenging. As night falls, I prowl the palace perimeter, searching for weaknesses. But every entrance is warded, every guard alert. This won't be the simple in and out I'd anticipated. I'll need to be clever, patient, and perhaps a bit more ruthless than usual. I slip into the mansion, my borrowed dark elf form a perfect disguise. The servant's uniform chafes against my skin, but it's a small price to pay. My eyes, now a dull silver instead of their usual demonic glow, scan the opulent halls for any sign of my target. Days pass in mundane servitude. I polish silver, scrub floors, and bite back snarls when the noble elves bark orders. But my patience pays off when I overhear a crucial conversation. My lord, the preparations for your visit to Thornhaven are complete. My ears prick up. The noble's voice follows, dripping with disdain. Oh, those filthy human settlements. Still, duty calls. We leave at dawn. My lips curl into a grin. This is the opportunity I've been waiting for. Away from the heavily warded mansion, vulnerable on the road. It's perfect. That night, as the household sleeps, I slip out of my cramped servants' quarters. The forest looms dark and inviting beyond the manicured gardens. With a final glance at the silent mansion, I melt into the shadows of the trees. Once hidden in the depths of the forest, I shed my elven disguise like a snake shedding its skin. My true form emerges, demon red skin, razor-sharp talons, and a tail that whips eagerly behind me. I flex my claws, relishing the feeling of freedom after days of constraint. As I prepare for the ambush, my mind wanders to my collection. Eyes of every color and shape, each with its own story. The piercing green of a forest sprite, the fiery red of a dragon, the mesmerizing swirl of a dreamweaver's gaze. But these nymph eyes, they'll be something special. Time to prepare for a little road trip, I mutter, a predatory grin spreading across my face. The hunt is on, and those exquisite nymph eyes will soon be mine. I can almost feel their cool weight in my palm, see their iridescent shine in the dim light of my lair. The thought sends a shiver of anticipation down my spine. This noble elf doesn't stand a chance. As I melt into the shadows, ready to stalk my prey, I can't help but wonder about Vexus's warning. What makes this target so well-connected? What am I really getting myself into? But the lure of those eyes is too strong to resist. Whatever comes, I'll face it. After all, I'm Azaruk, demon assassin extraordinaire, and I always get what I want.
Chapter 3, Mercedes. Please, I beg you, leave us be. My voice cracks as I plead with the dark elf captain. His cold eyes gleam with amusement, sending chills down my spine. I've seen that look before, in shadowy corners of the marketplace, in empty alleys where I'd barely escaped his grasp. Thomas steps in front of me, his arms spread wide. "You can't take her." The captain's lip curls into a sneer. His hand shoots out, grabbing my arm with bruising force. He yanks me away from Thomas, my white dress catching on a chair and tearing. "Mercedes!" He lunges forward, but 2 soldiers block his path. "Stop this madness!" Papa's voice booms across the room. "We'll double our grain output, triple it even. Just let my daughter go." The captain's laughter echoes off the walls, sharp and cruel. "You simple-minded fool. Your pathetic grain isn't worth the dirt it grows in anymore." My stomach drops. The blood drains from Papa's face, mirroring the horror I feel. Our town's only value, stripped away in an instant. "What do you mean?" I whisper. The captain's grip tightens, his fingers digging into my flesh. "Oh, you'll find out soon enough, my dear. I've been waiting for this moment, plotting, planning, biding my time." Tears blur my vision as I look at Papa, his face a mask of anguish and helplessness. The captain's grip on my arm tightens, and I wince, remembering all the times I've dodged his unwanted attention. "You've always been a slippery one, haven't you, Mercedes?" The captain's breath is hot on my ear. But not this time. My heart races. He's cornered me before, leering and making suggestive comments, but I've always managed to slip away. A well-timed distraction, a convenient crowd to lose myself in. I'd convinced myself he'd grown bored of the chase. "Please," I whisper, my voice trembling. "You've let me go before. Why now? Why today?" He chuckles, the sound grating against my nerves. "Oh, my dear, I was merely savouring the hunt, but seeing you in this..." His eyes rake over my torn wedding dress. Well, let's just say my patience has run out. Around us, the wedding guests shift nervously. Aunt Lena clutches her handkerchief, eyes wide with fear. Uncle Jace stands tensed, as if ready to fight. Even little Timmy seems to sense the danger, burying his face in his mother's skirts. The captain's laughter cuts through the air, sharp and mocking. His eyes gleam with cruel amusement as he turns to me. "Tell me, little human, are you happy with this ridiculous tradition of yours? This... marriage?" My heart hammers in my chest. Tears stream down my face as I shake my head, unable to form words. The beautiful day I'd dreamed of lies shattered around me. "No," I choke out between sobs. Thomas surges forward, desperation etched on his face. "Please let her go. Take me instead." The captain's boot connects with Thomas's chest, sending him sprawling across the floor. I cry out, struggling against the iron grip on my arm. "Thomas!" The captain yanks me close, his breath hot on my cheek. "I asked you a question, Mercedes. Are you happy getting married?" His fingers dig into my skin, twisting painfully. I can't look away from his piercing gaze. The truth claws its way up my throat, bitter and raw. "Yes," I choke out, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm happy getting married." The captain's eyes narrow, a cruel smile twisting his lips. He releases my arm, and for a moment, relief washes over me. But it's short-lived. He turns, striding towards Thomas with purposeful steps. My heart pounds in my chest, a sickening dread creeping up my spine. "No! Leave him alone!" I yell, reaching out. The captain's hand moves in a blur. A flash of steel catches the light, and before I can scream, before I can move, the blade plunges into his chest. Time stops. The world narrows to a single point, Thomas's wide, disbelieving eyes meeting mine. A scream tears from my throat, raw and primal. It mingles with the horrified cries of my family and friends. He crumples to the floor, crimson blooming across his shirt. "No!" I lunge forward, but strong arms hold me back. My papa. His grip is iron, but I can feel him trembling. Chaos erupts. Wedding guests scramble for the exits, panic etched on their faces, but the captain's voice cuts through the mayhem like a whip. Kill them all! The soldiers move with terrifying efficiency. Swords flash, screams pierce the air. The room that moments ago held such joy now reeks of fear and death. Papa lunges towards my younger brothers, his face a mask of desperate determination. Run, boys, run! But they're too slow. A soldier grabs Mikey, yanking him back. The blade flashes, and Mikey's scream cuts off abruptly. I squeeze my eyes shut, unable to bear any more. Rough hands grab my face, forcing my head up. The captain's cruel eyes bore into mine. Open your eyes, little bride. You'll want to see this. I struggle against his iron grip, but it's useless. My eyes fly open as I hear my papa's pained grunt. Two soldiers drag him across the floor, their fists raining down mercilessly. Blood streams from his nose, one eye already swollen shut. They throw him down in front of me, and I can't hold back my scream. Papa, please, stop this! I thrash wildly, trying to break free. The captain's arms tighten around me, crushing the air from my lungs. Mercy, Papa wheezes, reaching out a trembling hand. Be strong, my girl. Be dash. A boot comes down on his outstretched fingers. The sickening crunch of bone mingles with his agonized cry. The captain's fingers dig into my jaw, forcing me to face him. His eyes gleam with a sickening satisfaction as he surveys the carnage around us. This, my dear Mercedes, is what happens when you say no to me. My stomach churns. The room spins, the coppery scent of blood thick in the air. You thought you could be happy. He chuckles, the sound devoid of warmth. Foolish girl, you can never be happy, not without my permission. I try to look away, but his grip tightens. Tears stream down my face, mingling with the blood spattered across my cheeks. Oh, those eyes, he breathes, leaning in close. So full of pain and anguish. It's beautiful. Before I can react, his lips crash against mine. The kiss is brutal, possessive. Bile rises in my throat as his tongue forces its way into my mouth. Rage, hot and sudden, surges through me. I bite down hard. The captain jerks back with a howl of pain and fury. Blood trickles from the corner of his mouth, and for a moment I feel a fierce satisfaction. It doesn't last. His hand whips through the air. The slap connects with such force that my head snaps to the side. Pain explodes across my face, and the world tilts dangerously. As darkness creeps in at the edges of my vision, a single thought crystallizes in my mind. I want to die, to join Thomas, my family, my friends, anything to escape this nightmare. The last thing I see before consciousness slips away is the captain's triumphant sneer.
Rosenfire, our family holds great weight and power in Orthani, and yet I hear whispers.
Do you think he can take him?
There is no way that this could happen.
No, more books. I can't remain locked in this ivory tower a moment longer.
She's perfect. The Baron's daughter must be found.
Julius, we shouldn't.
Why shouldn't we?
I am not a full dark elf. I do not possess their ethereal beauty. How will I find a mate?
The lowly Baron's son apparently has shown that he has the same gift of fire-wielding as I, if not stronger.
I am the family's dirty little secret. I am not the future of the family. Dukan is.
This world was created from a seed of evil.
I propose we take Dukan out of the picture, permanently.
Please, let me go.
If you want to join the poor humans who are bought and sold in the markets on a daily basis, you will find a way to get there.
I am free. and I am terrified.
You will never escape me.
I can try.
You will fail. Get seasons 1 and 2 of the Dark Elf series from worldsofprotheka.com.
Protheka's magic is eternal. This series will show you why.
Chapter 4. Azaruk. The night air carries the stench of unwashed bodies and despair. I wrinkle my nose, disgusted by the weakness of these dark elves. Damn, their arrogance reeks worse than their bodies. My skin itches beneath the illusion of a dark elf soldier, a disguise I've perfected over centuries of deception. The magic clings to me like a second skin, concealing my demonic features beneath a facade of pointed ears and ashen skin. Torchlight flickers across the camp, casting long shadows that dance between shabby tents and makeshift barracks. Dark elves mill about, their faces etched with a mixture of cruelty and boredom. I've infiltrated their ranks with ease, slipping into the role of a nameless grunt. It's almost insulting how readily they accepted me, never suspecting the predator in their midst. A commotion draws my attention. The captain, a brutish excuse for a leader, drags a human female behind him. Her white dress, torn and stained with blood, catches on every stone and twig. She struggles feebly, her movements as ineffective as a newborn kitten's mewling. "Move aside!" the captain barks, shoving past a group of soldiers. I step back, keeping my eyes lowered like a good little soldier, but I can't help stealing glances at the woman. Something about her captivates me, stirring an unfamiliar sensation in my chest. "Sir, shall I take her to the cells?" I ask, hoping to get closer. The words feel strange on my tongue, subservience an ill-fitting mask for a being like me. The captain sneers, his breath reeking of cheap ale. "No need. This one's mine." The human female thrashes in the captain's grip, her voice raw with anguish. "Kill me. I'd rather die than—" Our eyes lock. Time stops. My breath catches in my throat. Her eyes, they're mesmerizing. Deep pools of liquid amber flecked with gold. Sorrow and rage swirl in their depths, a tempest of emotion that threatens to drown me. I've never seen anything like them. My fingers twitch, longing to pluck those exquisite orbs from her skull, to preserve their beauty forever in my collection. My mouth waters at the thought. It's an urge I've indulged countless times before, a hunger as familiar as breathing. But then I truly hear her words. "Please," she begs, "just let me die." Something shifts inside me, a foreign sensation, unfamiliar and unsettling. Is this empathy? Impossible. I'm a demon, for Christ's sake. We don't feel. Centuries of existence have taught me that emotions are a weakness, a human frailty I've long since abandoned. And yet, the despair in her voice echoes through me, resonating with something long buried. Memories of my own past, of pain and loss, flicker at the edges of my consciousness. I push them away, unsettled by their sudden resurgence. My nails lengthen into razor-sharp talons, hidden beneath the illusion of my disguise. The urge to kill rises, but not her. No, I want to tear into the smug bastard who dares treat such a treasure so callously. I force myself to remain still, to think. This changes everything. My original mission seems trivial now, compared to the prize before me. The noble I was sent to assassinate fades from my mind, replaced by the burning desire to possess those eyes. Those eyes will be mine, but not like this. Not broken and lifeless. The captain's words slice through my thoughts. "Take her to my quarters. I'll be there shortly." My blood boils. The urge to rip his throat out nearly overwhelms me. But I can't. Not yet. I need a plan. The camp is crawling with dark elves, and while I could slaughter them all, it would draw unwanted attention. Subtlety is key. Those eyes. Damn, I can't look away from them. Amber pools of sorrow and rage. They're more captivating than any I've collected before. And suddenly I realize I don't want them lifeless. I want to see them change, to witness every flicker of emotion. What would they look like filled with joy, with desire, with gratitude? The thought hits me like a punch to the gut. I want her willing. I want her alive. It's a revelation that shakes me to my core. Never before have I cared about the state of my prizes, only their beauty. How dare that pathetic excuse for a dark elf covet what's mine? Those eyes belong to me. I've claimed them the moment I saw them. The captain thinks he can just waltz in and take her? Screw that. A messenger rushes up to the captain, whispering urgently in his ear. The captain's face contorts with rage, veins bulging in his neck. Damn! Take her to my quarters. I'll deal with this first. He storms off, leaving the guards to drag the woman away. Perfect. I fall in step behind them, my mind racing. How can I get to her without raising suspicion? The guards' eyes slide over me, seeing only another faceless soldier. Their complacency will be their downfall. The guards shove her into the captain's quarters, slamming the door. I linger nearby, straining to hear. Her muffled sobs pierce through the wood, each one twisting something deep inside me. It's an alien sensation, this concern for another being. I should be revolted by my own weakness, but instead, I find myself drawn even more to her. Then her voice changes. The sorrow transforms into white-hot fury. You bastards! I'll kill you all! Every last one of you! Her words drip with venom, sending a delicious shiver down my spine. This is no broken victim. This is a woman with fire in her veins. My kind of woman. I swear by all that's holy, I'll have my revenge, even if I have to crawl back from the depths of hell itself. My lips curl into a grin. Oh, she's perfect. Those eyes, that spirit. I must have her. But how? I pace the corridor, my disguise itching like ill-fitting skin. I could simply slaughter everyone and take her. But no, that would draw too much attention and blow the mission I was sent here for. I need subtlety. My mind races, considering and discarding plans rapid fire. Her curses continue, each one more creative than the last. I find myself chuckling at her inventive threats. Who knew humans could be so delightfully vicious? An idea begins to form, taking shape like a sculpture emerging from raw clay. Perhaps I don't need to rescue her at all. Maybe what I need is to give her the means to rescue herself, to fan those flames of revenge into an inferno. But first I need to get her alone, away from prying eyes and pointed ears. The captain's quarters are too well guarded, too central. I need to move her somewhere isolated, somewhere I can work my magic without interruption. My eyes glint as a perfect idea forms in my head. While I don't like soul-binding contracts, I can make an exception for her. This fiery human with the captivating eyes deserves more than a quick death or a life of misery. She deserves vengeance, and I'm just the demon to help her get it. As I finalize my plan, a strange excitement builds within me. It's more than just the thrill of the hunt or the anticipation of a new prize. There's something else, something I can't quite name. A feeling of possibility, of change. For the first time in centuries, I find myself looking forward to more than just the acquisition of a new pair of eyes. I want to see what this human will do, how far she'll go for her revenge. And perhaps, just perhaps, I want to be there to witness it all. The game is about to change, and I can't wait to play.
Chapter 5. Mercedes. The door slams shut behind me, the sound echoing through the small room. My fists pound against the wood, raw and bleeding. Each impact sends shockwaves of pain up my arms, but I welcome it. Pain means I'm alive. Pain means I can still fight. Let me out! I'll kill you all! My voice cracks, hoarse from screaming. The taste of copper lingers on my tongue, metallic and bitter. Rage boils in my veins, replacing the despair that consumed me moments ago. I can still see Thomas's face, his eyes wide with shock as the life drained from them. The memory fuels my fury. I rattle the doorknob furiously. It doesn't budge. My nails scrape against the metal, leaving behind flecks of skin. The sting barely registers through my anger. Cowards, face me. Silence answers. The guard's footsteps fade down the hall, each receding step a mockery of my captivity. I slam my shoulder into the door. Pain shoots through my arm, radiating down to my fingertips, but I don't care. I do it again, and again. The impact reverberates through my body, but I channel every ounce of my grief and rage into each blow. The door gives way with a sudden creak, swinging open as I throw my weight against it one last time. I stumble forward, catching myself on the frame. My heart pounds in my chest, a frantic drumbeat of fear and hope. What just happened? I peer into the dimly lit corridor, half expecting to see guards waiting, but it's empty. Silence hangs heavy in the air, broken only by my ragged breathing. The hallway stretches before me, shadows dancing on the walls from flickering torchlight. This can't be right. Did they forget to lock it? Or is this some kind of sick game? I take a tentative step out, my bare feet cold against the stone floor. Every muscle in my body screams at me to run, but caution holds me back. I scan the hallway, searching for any sign of movement or danger. The air is thick with the scent of damp stone and fear. Nothing. It has to be a trap. They wouldn't just leave me unguarded. Would they? But then I think of Thomas, of my papa, of everyone I've lost. Their faces flash before my eyes, smiling, laughing, full of life. Now gone forever. What do I have left to lose? I clench my fists, steeling myself. Trap or not, this might be my only chance. I have to take it. For them. For me. With a deep breath, I slip out of the room. I hug the wall, moving as quietly as I can. Every shadow makes me flinch. Every creak of the floorboards sends my heart racing. The torn fabric of my wedding dress catches on rough stone, a cruel reminder of the joy that was stolen from me. But no one comes. No alarms sound. It's as if the entire barracks has been abandoned. The emptiness is eerie, unnatural. It sets my teeth on edge. My heart races as I sprint through the empty corridors. Where are the guards? This can't be real, but I don't have time to question it. Freedom beckons, a siren call. I can't resist. I burst through a side door, cool night air hitting my face. The sudden rush of fresh air is dizzying after the stale confines of the barracks. The moon casts an eerie glow over the landscape, bathing everything in silvery light. I don't stop to savour it. I run. My bare feet slap against the ground, twigs and stones cutting into my skin. Each step sends jolts of pain up my legs, but it's a small price to pay. Damn, this hurts. But pain is better than captivity, better than what awaits me if I'm caught. The memory of the captain's leering face spurs me on. Trees whip past as I plunge into the forest. Branches claw at my face and arms, leaving stinging scratches. My lungs burn, each breath a struggle, but I can't stop. Won't stop. The forest is alive around me, filled with the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of night creatures. Then I hear it. Angry shouts, the pounding of feet. The hunters have become aware of their escaped prey. There she is. Terror grips me, icy fingers of fear clutching at my heart. I push harder, legs pumping furiously. They're gaining. I can hear them getting closer, their heavy footfalls and harsh breathing growing louder. Suddenly the ground disappears beneath me. I tumble, the world spinning in a dizzying whirl of shadows and moonlight. My hands grasp wildly, finding purchase on a thick root. I dangle, heart in my throat, fingers burning with the strain of holding my weight. Below me, there's a sheer drop. Rocks and mist shroud the bottom of the cliff, an abyss that promises either escape or oblivion. Behind me, heavy footsteps and harsh breathing. The hunters have caught up. "We've got you now, you little bitch." I look up and see the dark elven faces leering at me, triumph in their eyes. I look down at the misty abyss. 2 choices: be caught or fall. Neither promises salvation, but one at least offers an end to this nightmare. A dark shadow materializes beside me, seemingly out of thin air. God damn it. Another dark elf. My heart sinks. There's no escape. The newcomer's eyes lock onto mine. Something about his gaze sends a chill down my spine. He's different from the others. Dangerous in a way I can't explain, and there's a depth to his eyes, a hunger that both terrifies and intrigues me. What now? Jump or be locked up again? The guards are closing in. Their triumphant jeers ring in my ears, a cacophony of cruelty. I can't go back. I won't. I'd rather die than endure what they have planned for me. I release my grip on the root. For a moment, I'm falling. The wind whips through my hair, my tattered dress billowing around me. A strange sense of peace washes over me. It's over. I close my eyes, ready to embrace whatever comes next. But then, I'm not. My body hangs suspended in mid-air. I blink, disbelieving. Am I dead already? Is this what it feels like? The mist swirls around me, cool and damp against my skin. I'm still here, hovering above the misty abyss. Tears well up in my eyes, blurring my vision. Even this choice has been taken from me. A sob catches in my throat, a mixture of frustration and fear. What's happening? I choke out, my voice barely a whisper. The strange dark elf appears beside me, floating as if it's the most natural thing in the world. His lips curl into a smirk, a predatory gleam in his eyes. Now, we can't have you dying just yet. His voice is smooth, almost hypnotic. I want to scream, to fight, to do something. But I'm paralyzed, trapped in his invisible grip. My body refuses to obey my commands, suspended in this impossible moment. Mercedes. The dark elf's voice rings out, different now, deeper, richer. It wraps around me like silk, compelling me to listen. My struggles cease, my body going still in mid-air. There's power in that voice, ancient and terrible. His form begins to shift, melting and reforming before my eyes. I gasp, unable to look away. The dark elven features blur, giving way to something else. Something that defies everything I thought I knew about the world. What the hell is he? Red veins spider across his skin, pulsing with an otherworldly light. His eyes glow like embers, piercing straight through me. Long, wicked talons extend from his fingers, gleaming in the moonlight. A tail, sharp and jagged like a sword, lashes behind him, cutting through the air with deadly grace. My heart pounds against my ribs, a frantic rhythm of fear and something else. Fascination. Awe. I can't quite name the emotion that stirs within me. What are you? I whisper, my voice trembling. He grins, revealing razor-sharp teeth. His tail swishes, cutting through the air with a soft whistle. His eyes roam over me, lingering on my face. There's hunger in that gaze, but also curiosity. As if I'm a puzzle he's eager to solve, I should be terrified. This creature before me is death incarnate, more dangerous than any dark elf. Yet, as I hang suspended in the air, I feel a spark of something I thought had died with my family. Possibility. The world has changed in an instant. The rules I thought I knew no longer apply. In the face of this impossible being, my despair gives way to a tentative hope. If this creature can exist, what else might be possible? That, my dear Mercedes, is a very interesting question indeed. His words hang in the air between us, pregnant with promise and danger. As I stare into his burning eyes, I realise that my journey is far from over. It's only just begun.
Chapter 6. Azaruk. The shock in her eyes is exquisite. Fear, awe, and a hint of curiosity. Delicious. I can't help but grin, my sharp teeth glinting in the moonlight. The forest around us seems to hold its breath, the night air heavy with possibility. What are you? She whispers, her voice trembling. I take a step closer, relishing how she tenses. Her scent fills my nostrils, a heady mix of fear, desperation, and something uniquely her. It's intoxicating. I am Azaruk, a demon of the highest order, and you, my dear, have the most captivating eyes I've ever seen. Her brow furrows, confusion mixing with the fear. My eyes? Indeed. I circle her slowly, drinking in every detail. The tattered remains of her dress, the dirt and blood smeared across her skin, the way her chest rises and falls with each rapid breath. But it's those eyes that truly captivate me. They're like deep wells of emotion. I've never seen anything quite like them. She swallows hard, her gaze darting between me and the cliff edge. The moonlight catches in her eyes, making them shine like liquid gold. Are you going to kill me? I laugh, the sound echoing through the trees. A nearby owl takes flight, startled by the sudden noise. Kill you? Oh no, my dear. I have a much better proposition for you. Her eyes narrow, a spark of defiance cutting through the fear. It's beautiful to behold, that flicker of strength in the face of overwhelming odds. What kind of proposition? I couldn't help but overhear your predicament. I stop in front of her, towering over her small frame. The difference in our sizes is stark, yet she doesn't cower. Impressive. You want revenge, don't you? Against those who wronged you? Her breath catches, and I see it. That flicker of rage, buried beneath layers of grief and terror. It's like watching a flame ignite in the darkness, small but fierce. My own excitement grows in response. This human is proving to be far more interesting than I'd anticipated. She starts, then stops, conflict warring in those mesmerizing eyes. I lean in close, my voice a low purr. The scent of her fear spikes, but she doesn't back away. I can make it happen, Mercedes. I can give you the power to destroy those who took everything from you, to make them suffer as you have suffered. Her eyes widen, a mix of hope and wariness. The forest seems to fade away, leaving just the two of us in this moment of possibility. You can do that? I'm a demon, darling. I can do anything. The words drip from my lips like honey, sweet and tempting. Mercedes's curiosity is palpable, her eyes searching mine for answers. I can almost see the wheels turning in her mind, weighing her options, considering the implications of dealing with a creature like me. How can you do what you say? A wicked grin spreads across my face. This is the moment I've been waiting for. With a flick of my wrist, I conjure what I need. A gruesome trophy from a recent hunt. An elf's head materializes in my hand, its lifeless eyes staring blankly. The skin is pale, almost translucent, with intricate tattoos etched across the forehead. Long, pointed ears droop lifelessly. The air around us grows colder, as if the very atmosphere recoils from this grisly display. Mercedes gasps, her eyes widening in shock and horror. The scent of her fear spikes, intoxicating. I can't help but savor it, letting it wash over me like a fine wine. Yet beneath the fear, I sense something else, a morbid fascination, perhaps even a hint of satisfaction at seeing her tormentor's kind brought low. This, my dear, is but a taste of what I can do, I purr, turning the head this way and that. Imagine what we could accomplish together. She stares at the severed head, then back at me. I watch as a myriad of emotions flicker across her face. Disgust, fear, and then something else. A hardening in her eyes, a set to her jaw. It's like watching a butterfly emerge from its chrysalis, but instead of beauty, it's vengeance that's being born. She swallows hard. The sound is audible in the stillness of the night. Her shoulders straighten, and I can see the resolve settling over her like a cloak. What? She pauses, licks her lips. What do I need to do? My grin widens, revealing more of my sharp teeth. Oh, how delightful this is turning out to be. I extend my hand, claws retracted. It's quite simple, really. All you need to do is make a deal with me. I lean in closer, my voice a low, seductive purr. Your soul, Mercedes. I want your soul, your everything. In exchange, I'll give you power beyond your wildest dreams. Power to crush those who wronged you. Her eyes widen, a mix of fear and... is that intrigue? My soul? Yes, darling. You'll be mine, my slave, to do with as I please. I trace a claw along her jawline, relishing her shiver. The warmth of her skin contrasts sharply with the cool night air. But think of what you'll gain, the ability to make them suffer as you have suffered. She swallows hard, her gaze flickering between my eyes and my extended hand. I can see the war raging within her, the last vestiges of her humanity fighting against the overwhelming desire for vengeance. It's a beautiful struggle to witness, like watching a star collapse in on itself before exploding into a supernova. She starts, then stops. Her eyes harden, something cold and deadly settling in their depths. It's like watching ice form over a raging river. The surface may be still, but beneath, the current runs swift and deadly. I have nothing left to lose. My grin widens, anticipation coiling in my gut. This is it, the moment of her transformation, the birth of something new and terrible. Is that a yes, my dear? She takes a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. The tattered remains of her dress flutter in the night breeze, a stark reminder of all she's lost. Yes, I'll do it. I'll give you my soul, my everything. Just make them pay. I can barely contain my glee as I grasp her hand as a symbol of our agreement. Her skin is soft against my rough palm, warm and alive. Oh, we'll make them pay, my little slave. We'll paint this world red with their blood. The sweet taste of victory lingers on my tongue when shouts pierce the night air. Dark elves, closing in fast. The hunt is not over, it seems. Mercedes pales, her jaw clenching. Those captivating eyes of hers dart towards the sounds, then back to me. Fear and determination war within her gaze, each making those eyes shine brighter. Get me out of here first, she hisses through gritted teeth. My lips curl into a wicked grin. Oh, how delightful she is. I can't resist the urge to claim her, to mark this moment of her transformation. I grab her, pulling her flush against me. Her gasp of surprise is swallowed as I crash my lips onto hers. The kiss is hungry, possessive. I savor every sensation. The softness of her lips, the heat of her breath, the thundering of her pulse beneath my fingers. She tastes of fear and hope, of despair and determination. It's intoxicating. When I finally release her, she's breathless, eyes wide and dazed. Perfect. She looks thoroughly claimed, marked as mine in a way that goes beyond the physical. Follow them back, I order, my voice low and commanding. The sounds of pursuit grow closer, branches snapping and voices calling out in the darkness. I'll see you again tonight, and I'll make all your wishes come true. She tries to argue, but before she can respond, I vanish into the shadows, leaving her alone on the cliff's edge. The shouts of the dark elves grow closer, but I know she'll do as I've commanded. Her despair from loss and the desperation to have revenge guarantees it, and it guarantees that she'll be mine. As I melt into the night, I can't help but feel a thrill of anticipation. Mercedes is more than just another soul to claim, more than just a pair of beautiful eyes to add to my collection. She's a spark of chaos in this dreary world, a chance to create something truly magnificent. Oh, the fun we'll have together. The dark elves won't know what hit them.
Chapter 7. Mercedes. My lips still tingle from the demon's searing kiss as shouts pierce the air. Dark elves burst through the trees, their faces contorted with rage. My shock evaporates, replaced by a fury that burns hotter than the fires of the underworld. "There she is," one of them snarls, his silver eyes gleaming with malice. I bare my teeth, wishing I could rip out their throats. "Come closer, you bastards." They hesitate, taken aback by the venom in my voice. Good. Let them see the monster they've created. The forest around us seems to hold its breath, the night air heavy with tension. "Careful," another warns, his hand on his sword hilt. "The captain wants her unharmed." A bitter laugh escapes me, the sound harsh and foreign to my own ears. "Unharmed? Like you left my family?" Images flash through my mind. Blood-spattered walls, lifeless eyes, Thomas's body crumpling to the floor. My nails dig into my palms, drawing blood. The pain is sharp, grounding, reminding me that I'm still alive when so many others aren't. "I'll kill you all," I hiss, my voice low and deadly. Slowly, painfully. The lead elf sneers, but I catch a flicker of unease in his eyes. Big words from a helpless human. Helpless. The word ignites something primal within me. I imagine my hands around his throat, squeezing until the light fades from his eyes. I picture driving a blade into the captain's black heart, twisting it as he begs for mercy. These vivid fantasies of violence should frighten me, but instead, they bring a perverse sense of comfort. "You have no idea what I'm capable of," I growl, my body tensing for a fight. They laugh, but there's an edge of unease to it. They've never seen me like this before, feral, unhinged, dangerous. I'm no longer the docile human they thought they knew. I'm something else entirely, something born of pain and rage. As they move to surround me, I scan the area for anything I can use as a weapon. A heavy branch, a sharp rock, anything to make them bleed. My heart pounds in my chest, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The first blow catches me off guard, a fist slamming into my stomach. I double over, gasping for air. The pain is intense, but it only fuels my rage. Another strike, this time to my face. My head snaps back, and I taste blood, metallic and warm on my tongue. "This is what you get for running, you stupid bitch," one of the elves snarls, his breath hot on my face. I don't respond. I don't even look at them. My mind is elsewhere, filled with visions of vengeance. I see their bodies broken and bleeding at my feet. I hear their screams of agony. It's all that keeps me going as the blows rain down, each impact sending shockwaves of pain through my body. They drag me back to the base, my feet scraping against the rough ground. I don't struggle. What's the point? I bide my time, knowing that soon, very soon, I'll have my revenge. The forest gives way to the dark, imposing structure of the elven stronghold, its black stone walls looming ominously in the night. The dungeon is dark and damp, the air thick with the stench of fear and despair. They throw me inside, and I hit the cold stone floor hard. Before I can catch my breath, they're on me again, boots connecting with my ribs and back. "You deserve this," one of them spits, landing another kick. "You and your whole pathetic family." Something inside me snaps at the mention of my family, but I hold it in. I won't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I focus on memorizing their faces, their voices. I'll need to know who to kill first when the time comes. At least we're not giving you to the captain dead. Another one laughs, landing a final blow to my head. Stars explode behind my eyes, and for a moment, I fear I might lose consciousness. The rage that's been simmering inside me finally boils over. I no longer care about consequences. My humanity slips away, replaced by something feral and monstrous. You think this is over? I snarl, my voice dripping with venom. I'll hunt every last one of you down. I'll tear the flesh from your bones and feast on it while you watch. The elves exchange uneasy glances, but I'm not finished. The words pour out of me, each one dripping with hatred and promise. I'll drink your blood like fine wine, I continue, a maniacal laugh bubbling up from my chest. And I'll savour every scream, every plea for mercy. You'll beg for death long before I'm done with you. One of the elves, his face twisted with disgust and fear, grabs my hair and slams my head against the wall. Pain explodes behind my eyes, but I welcome it. It fuels my rage, sharpens my focus. Shut your filthy mouth, human, he growls, his grip tightening painfully. I spit blood in his face, grinning like a madwoman. What's wrong? Scared of a helpless little human? He raises his fist again, but another elf grabs his arm, his expression wary. Stop! The captain wants her alive. He hasn't had his way with her yet. The first elf hesitates, then shoves me to the ground with a snarl. You're lucky, bitch, but your time will come. They file out of the cell, locking the door behind them. As their footsteps fade away, I'm left alone in the darkness, my head throbbing and my mouth filled with the metallic taste of blood. Every breath sends sharp pains through my ribs, and I can feel my eye swelling shut. Silence envelops me as I sit in the dank cell, waiting. Minutes stretch into hours. The cold stone leaches the warmth from my body, and I start to shiver. Where is he? The demon promised to return, to grant me the power for revenge. Did he lie? Panic claws at my chest, threatening to overwhelm me. A shadow materializes in the corner, darker than the surrounding gloom. My heart leaps. You came, I whisper, struggling to my feet. The world spins violently. My knees buckle beneath me. Strong arms catch me before I hit the floor, their touch burning hot against my chilled skin. Careful, little one, his silky voice purrs, sending shivers down my spine. I blink, trying to focus through the haze of pain and exhaustion. The demon's face swims into view, his eyes glowing like embers in the darkness. He leans close, his tongue darting out. I flinch, expecting pain, but he merely licks the blood from my temple. The wound tingles, pain fading to a dull throb. His touch is surprisingly gentle, at odds with his fearsome appearance. His tongue traces my cheekbone, cleaning away tears and grime. Don't hide those beautiful eyes, he murmurs, his voice low and hypnotic. I start to cover my face, suddenly self-conscious, but he gently catches my wrists. What are you? His lips press against my eyelids, one after the other. The touch is reverent, almost worshipful. Shock courses through me. This isn't what I expected from a demon. It's tender, intimate in a way that makes my heart race. What are you doing? I ask, voice barely above a whisper. He pulls back, studying me with an intensity that makes me shiver. His eyes roam over my face, taking in every bruise, every cut. Savouring you, he replies simply. His words send a shiver down my spine. Savouring me? Like I'm some delicacy to be consumed? I swallow hard, trying to gather my thoughts. My mind feels foggy, whether from the pain or his presence, I'm not sure. The deal, I rasp, my throat dry and sore. You said you'd help me get revenge. Azaruk's lips curl into a predatory smile, revealing sharp teeth. Indeed I did, little one. But first, we must make it official. My heart pounds against my ribs, a mixture of fear and anticipation. Official? How? An oath, he purrs, tracing a talon along my jaw. The sharp point sends tingles across my skin. Bind yourself to me, body and soul, and I'll give you the power to destroy those who wronged you. I hesitate, the weight of his words sinking in. Body and soul? What exactly does that entail? The implications are terrifying, yet a part of me yearns for it, for the power he promises. As if reading my thoughts, Azaruk continues, his voice dropping to a seductive whisper. To seal our pact, we must become one, physically. My eyes widen as understanding dawns. You mean, we need to lay, Mercedes, he states bluntly, his eyes gleaming with hunger and something else, anticipation. I recoil, my back hitting the cold stone wall. The rough surface scrapes against my bruised skin, a sharp reminder of my vulnerability. What? No, I can't. Can't you? Azaruk challenges, moving closer. His body radiates heat, a stark contrast to the chill of the dungeon. Think of your family, your Thomas. Think of the pain they suffered. Don't you want justice? Images flash through my mind. Blood, screams, lifeless eyes. My resolve hardens, pushing aside my fear and hesitation. The faces of my loved ones, forever frozen in their final moments of terror, fuel a fire within me. I do, I whisper, clenching my fists. More than anything. Azaruk's hand cups my cheek, his touch surprisingly gentle. Then prove it. Give yourself to me and I'll give you the world. I close my eyes, taking a shaky breath. Can I really do this? Offer my body to a demon? But then I think of the captain, of the dark elves who destroyed everything I loved. My hatred burns hotter than any shame or fear. When I open my eyes again, they're filled with determination. Do it, I say, my voice steady. Make me yours. There isn't much left of the world after the orcs came.
Savage. Brutal. Merciless.
If you're a woman, you're property. Even to other humans.
What happens when an orc stakes his claim on a human woman? Who would dare to stop him?
Me.
Chapter 8. Azaruk. Her eyes flutter open, meeting mine with a newfound resolve. I can sense the shift in her, the steel beneath her soft exterior. I'll do it, Mercedes says, her voice surprisingly steady. Whatever it takes to make them pay. A triumphant grin spreads across my face. Damn, this is even better than I'd hoped. I lean in close, letting my hot breath caress her ear. Say the words, Mercedes. Swear yourself to me. I watch as she swallows hard, steeling herself. The anticipation builds within me, my demonic blood singing with the promise of what's to come. I, Mercedes, swear myself to you, Azaruk, she says, her words sending a thrill through my body. Body and soul, I am yours. The power of her oath washes over me, and I can feel the invisible threads of our pact forming. This human, with her beautiful brown eyes and soft curves, has just handed herself over to me completely. And damn, does it feel good. Her words ignite a fire within me. I breathe them in, savoring the moment. Good girl, I purr, running a talon along her jawline. Now let's seal this deal. I pull her close, crushing her soft body against my hard plains. Her breath hitches, eyes widening. Such expressive eyes. I can't wait to see them filled with pleasure and pain. This might hurt, I warn, flashing my fangs. But you want the pain, don't you? To remind you why you're here. She nods, resolve hardening her features. Whatever it takes. I don't need further invitation. My mouth crashes onto hers, tongue plundering, tasting her fear and determination. She whimpers but doesn't pull away. Good. She's learning already. I break away, admiring her flushed face and heaving chest. Last chance to back out, little human. Never, she spits, fire in those captivating eyes. Grinning, I lift her easily, pinning her against the cold stone wall. Her legs wrap around my waist instinctively. I grind against her, letting her feel exactly what she's in for. Remember, I growl, nipping at her throat. You asked for this. Her eyes bore into mine, a mix of fear and determination swirling within them. I can't help but smirk, the predator in me reveling in her fight. You want revenge? I growl, pinning her wrists above her head. Take it out on me. Show me your rage, little human. She struggles against my grip, her breath coming in ragged gasps. You're a monster, she spits, but her eyes betray her. There's a spark of lust, a hunger that matches my own. And you love it, I purr, grinding against her. Her body responds, arching into mine. She can deny it all she wants, but her body knows what it needs. I release her wrists, daring her to push me away. Instead, her hands find my shoulders, nails digging into my flesh. The pain is exquisite, fueling my desire. She's not gentle, not timid. She's a wildcat, clawing and biting, taking out her anger on me. Her eyes never leave mine. They're filled with a storm of emotions, anger, lust, pain. It's intoxicating. I've seen countless eyes, collected them even, but none have ever held such raw, unadulterated life. Good girl, remind me why we're here. Sorry for the interruption. I know you were gearing up for a steamy scene, but it's way too hot for YouTube.
If we want to keep sharing our stories for free, we have to abide by YouTube's guidelines.
To get the full unabridged audiobook, go to worldsofprotheka.com.
Browse through unabridged audiobooks, countless ebooks and bundles offered at a discount.
If the thought of me whispering all the dirty details into your ear isn't enticing enough, use discount code YouTube30 to get 30% off of all digital products.
Story after story, audiobook after audiobook, the Worlds of Protheka are waiting for you.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
But unabridged, it's unforgettable. Chapter 9. Mercedes. Power thrums through my veins, a heady cocktail of exhilaration and terror. My body aches, but it's nothing compared to the electric current dancing beneath my skin. Azaruk's talons comb through my hair, oddly gentle for a creature of such darkness. How do you feel, little one? His voice rumbles against my back. I swallow hard. Alive. He chuckles, low and dangerous. That's putting it mildly. The cold stone of the dungeon floor bites into my flesh, but I barely notice. Everything pales in comparison to this newfound strength coursing through me. I flex my fingers, marvelling at the faint red glow pulsing beneath my nails. What? What am I now? He shifts, his muscled arm tightening around my waist. Something new, not quite demon, not quite human. I turn to face him, searching those otherworldly eyes. There's no warmth there, no affection, just hunger and satisfaction reminding me that this isn't love. It's a business transaction, sealed in blood and pleasure. My mind races with questions, each one fighting to be the first off my tongue. I sit up, ignoring the chill of the dungeon air on my bare skin. Azaruk, this power. What can I do with it? How do I use it? His eyes gleam in the dim light. Whatever you desire, little one, your rage will fuel it. I clench my fists, feeling that new energy surge. I want to tear them apart, to drink their blood and feast on their flesh. Such delicious darkness. He traces a talon along my jawline. Tell me more. I want to start with that bastard captain. Make him suffer like he made me suffer. My voice drops to a growl. But how? Where do I even begin? Azaruk's lips curl into a wicked grin. Your instincts will guide you. The power responds to your will, and I'll be here every step of the way. I have to see what you do with the power I've given you. I close my eyes, picturing the captain's smug face. Something stirs within me, hot and violent. When I open them again, my nails have sharpened to points. What else can I do? Can I shapeshift like you? He shakes his head. Not yet. Your abilities will grow with time and practice. A thought strikes me. The other dark elves, the ones who helped him, I want them to suffer too. All of them. Patience, my pet, one step at a time. I growl in frustration. But I need to act now, before they come back, before... His hand clamps over my mouth, silencing my outburst. His eyes flash with a mixture of amusement and irritation. Hush, little one. Your time will come, but not yet. I have a proposition for you. I force myself to take a deep breath, tamping down the rage that threatens to consume me. What kind of proposition? A mission. Your first, in fact. His grin widens, revealing sharp teeth. One that will serve both our interests. My heart races. A mission. Already? I'm listening. He leans in close, his breath hot against my ear. There's a noble elf I need to dispose of, but he's well guarded, difficult to reach. What does that have to do with me? Everything, my pet. Your dear captain is our key. His talons trace lazy circles on my skin. With his help, we can get close to our target, and you'll get your revenge. My breath catches in my throat. The captain. The thought of facing him again sends a shiver down my spine, but it's not fear I feel. It's anticipation. How? I whisper. We use your newfound powers to manipulate him. Make him believe you've broken, that you're his willing slave. Azaruk's voice drips with dark promise. He'll lower his guard, take you to the nobles' gathering, and then we strike. I finish, a wicked smile spreading across my face. He nods, approval gleaming in his otherworldly eyes. Precisely. You'll have your vengeance, and I'll complete my contract. Everyone wins. I consider his words, feeling the demonic power pulse beneath my skin. The thought of playing submissive to that bastard turns my stomach, but the promise of retribution is too sweet to ignore. When do we start? His eyes gleam with wicked intent as he outlines the plan. My skin prickles with a mixture of anticipation and revulsion. You'll seduce the captain, my pet. Use your newfound charms to bend him to your will. I recoil. Seduce him? After what he did? Precisely because of what he did. Azaruk's talons trace my jaw. I'm gifting you the power of control. He'll be putty in your hands. The thought of touching that monster makes bile rise in my throat. But the promise of revenge, it sings in my blood. How? Your very presence will intoxicate him. A look, a touch, he'll be helpless. Azaruk's grin is all teeth. Lead him on, make him believe you've broken. He'll take you right to our noble target. I clench my fists, nails biting into my palms. And then, my dear, we strike. The noble falls, and you. He leans in close, breath hot on my ear. You get to make the captain suffer. My heart races. the thought of finally making that bastard pay. What about the others? The whole camp? His laugh is dark velvet. Once our primary goal is achieved, we'll raze it to the ground, together. The promise of wholesale destruction should horrify me. Instead, it fills me with a sick thrill. When do we begin? Now. His eyes flash. Let's see what you can do with your new talents. My heart hammers against my ribcage like a caged bird fighting for freedom. The taste of vengeance is sweet on my tongue, and I'm eager to spill the blood of those who've wronged me. But before I can leap into the fray, Azaruk has other ideas. Mercedes, he purrs, his voice a low rumble that resonates deep within my core. There's one more thing we must do before we embark on our quest for vengeance. I turn to him, my eyes alight with the fires of retribution. What more could there be? I'm ready to...
Chapter 10. Azaruk. I tear myself away from Mercedes, my claws lingering on her soft skin. Damn. What's happening to me? I have to get out of here for a minute. I need to get myself together. Her scent clings to my body, a heady mix of desire and power that makes my head spin. Stay here, I growl, my voice rougher than intended. I'll be back soon. Mercedes nods, her eyes gleaming with newfound strength. The sight nearly makes me forget why I'm leaving. I shake my head, trying to clear the fog of lust. This isn't like me. I've never been so distracted by a human before, or anyone for that matter. Remember the plan, I say, more to remind myself than her. Seduce the captain. Control him. We need access to that noble elf. I won't forget, she whispers, her voice sending shivers down my spine. I turn away before I can change my mind. The dungeon walls blur as I phase through them, leaving the intoxicating presence of Mercedes behind. The cool night air hits my face, a stark contrast to the heat of her body. Focus, damn it. I have a job to do, a contract to fulfill, those rare eyes waiting for me. But even as I think about my prize, all I can see are Mercedes' eyes, alive with emotion, burning with hatred, shining with lust, gleaming with power. How can dead, preserved eyes compare to that? I growl in frustration, my tail lashing behind me. This isn't me. I'm Azaruk, feared assassin, collector of beautiful eyes. I don't get attached. I don't feel whatever this is. It's just the contract, the soul binding, nothing more. But even as I melt into the shadows, preparing to infiltrate the captain's quarters, I can't shake the feeling that something fundamental has shifted. And for the first time in centuries, I'm not sure if I'm in control anymore. The sun's barely risen when I hear the commotion. Footsteps echo through the halls, accompanied by the clanking of armor. I shift into the shadows, my form melding with the darkness as the captain storms past. My fists clench as I watch him drag Mercedes from her cell. Her eyes meet mine for a fleeting moment, a silent exchange passing between us. I want to tear the captain's throat out, to feel his life drain beneath my claws. But I can't. Not yet. This is Mercedes' fight. Her revenge. I follow them, silent as death, as the captain hauls her to his quarters. His grip on her arm is bruising, but she doesn't flinch. Good girl. Clean her up, the captain barks at his servants. I want her presentable. The servants scurry to obey, filling a large tub with steaming water. I watch from the shadows as they strip Mercedes, my blood boiling at the captain's leering gaze. She catches my eye again, a hint of a smirk playing on her lips. She knows what she's doing. The power I gave her thrums beneath her skin, invisible to these fools, but clear as day to me. The servants step out, leaving her alone in the steaming bath while gathering a towel and her garments. Perfect. I slip into the room, silent as a shadow. With a flick of my wrist, they fall to the floor unconscious. No interruptions. I approach the tub, shedding my disguise. Mercedes startles, her eyes wide. Azaruk, what are you? Shh. I press a finger to her lips. We can't waste this opportunity. I slide into the water, savoring her sharp intake of breath. Her cheeks flush, and she averts her gaze. Interesting. Where's that boldness from before? Let me, I murmur, reaching for the soap. She tenses as I run my hands over her shoulders. Relax. I won't hurt you. I know, she whispers. It's just different when we're not. I chuckle. Like animals? Her blush deepens. I work the soap into a lather, trailing my fingers down her arms. Tell me about yourself, Mercedes. Your life before all this. She hesitates, then speaks softly. I was a cook. Nothing special, but people seem to like my food. I massage her back, feeling the tension melt away. What was your favorite thing to make? Sweet bread, she says, a hint of a smile in her voice. With honey and cinnamon. I lean closer, breathing in her scent. I'd like to try that someday. She turns, meeting my gaze. Those eyes, they still captivate me. Really? I thought demons didn't eat human food. We don't need to, I admit, but some of us enjoy it, especially when it's made by someone special. Her breath catches. I cup her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone. Your turn. Ask me something. Why? She swallows hard. Why do you collect eyes? I pause, considering. No one's ever asked me that before. They're windows to the soul, I finally say. Each one unique, beautiful in its own way. But yours. I trail off, lost in the depths of her gaze. Something stirs within me, unfamiliar and terrifying. Azaruk? Her voice is soft, almost hesitant. I blink, shaking off the strange sensation. Yes. Why did you choose me? Out of all the humans, why did you decide to help me? I consider her question, my fingers tracing idle patterns on her skin. Your eyes, I admit. They're not just beautiful. They're alive, full of emotion, passion, rage. I've never seen anything like them. She smiles, a genuine smile that lights up her face. Thank you. I lean in, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. We should focus on the mission. The captain will be here soon. Mercedes nods, her expression turning serious. What do I need to do? Remember the plan, I remind her. Seduce him. Control him. Use your powers to make him believe you're his willing slave. Once he's under your spell, he'll take you to the nobles' gathering. And then? She asks, her voice steady. Then we strike, I say, a wicked grin spreading across my face. The noble falls and you get your revenge. She takes a deep breath, her eyes gleaming with determination. I won't let you down. I cup her face, my thumb tracing her cheekbone. I know you won't. You're stronger than you realize. She leans into my touch, her eyes softening. Thank you for everything. I press a gentle kiss to her lips, feeling a warmth spread through me. This isn't just a contract anymore. This is something more, something deeper. And for the first time in centuries, I find myself wanting to explore it. But for now, we have a mission to complete. I pull away from her, my expression turning serious. Remember, Mercedes, this is your fight, your revenge. Use your powers wisely. She nods, her eyes gleaming with determination. I won't forget.
Chapter 11. Mercedes. Azaruk calls out one last time before disappearing to keep from getting caught. Remember what you must do, Mercedes. He growls, his voice low and husky. I nod, unable to form words. My heart races, a mix of anticipation and fear coursing through my veins. Seduce the captain, Azaruk continues. Make him putty in your hands. Once you have him under your control, we'll strike. His words ignite a fire within me. Rage bubbles up, threatening to consume me. The captain, the monster who destroyed everything I held dear, my family, my love, my future, all gone because of him. I'll make him pay, I whisper, my voice trembling with barely contained fury. His lips curl into a wicked grin. That's my girl, he purrs, running a clawed finger along my jawline. Remember, this is just the beginning of our revenge. With one last searing kiss, he vanishes, leaving me alone in the bath. The servants begin to stir, oblivious to what just transpired. I ball my fists, nails digging into my palms. The pain grounds me, focuses my thoughts. I will do this. I will play my part perfectly. The captain will rue the day he ever laid eyes on me. Taking a deep breath, I school my features into a mask of demure submission. It's showtime. Every fibre of my being rebels against what I'm about to do, but I push through the disgust. This is necessary. This is the price of vengeance. As I step out of the bath, allowing the servants to dry and dress me, I make a silent vow. I will do everything in my power to see this through. No matter the cost, no matter how much it breaks me, I will have my revenge. The servants finish dressing me in a gown that feels more like a cage than clothing. Its fabric clings to my skin, accentuating every curve. I hate how vulnerable it makes me feel, but I remind myself this is part of the plan. "Follow us, human," one of the servants sneers, yanking my arm. I bite back a retort, forcing myself to appear meek and compliant. Every step towards the captain's room feels like a march to my execution. My heart pounds so loudly, I'm sure they can hear it. We stop before an ornate door. The servant knocks, and a gruff voice calls out, "Enter." The door swings open, revealing the captain lounging on a plush chair. His eyes rake over me, and I fight the urge to vomit. "Leave us," he commands the servants. As the door closes behind them, I'm left alone with the monster who destroyed my life. The air feels thick, oppressive. I can barely breathe. "Come here, my little pet," he purrs, patting his lap. Every instinct screams at me to run, to fight, to do anything but obey. But Azaruk's words echo in my mind. I have to do this. For my family. For Thomas. For revenge. I force a shy smile onto my face and take a tentative step forward. "My lord," I murmur, lowering my eyes in what I hope passes for submission. The captain's grin widens. "That's more like it. I knew you'd come around eventually." I swallow hard, fighting back the bile rising in my throat. As I approach him, I focus on Azaruk's promise. This won't last forever. Soon I'll have the power to make this bastard suffer. "Crawl to me, pet," the captain orders, his voice dripping with malice. My stomach churns at his words, but I force myself to obey. I drop to my hands and knees, the cold floor biting into my palms. Each movement forward is agony, my body screaming in protest. But I push on, reminding myself of the endgame. The captain's eyes gleam with satisfaction as I approach. "That's it," he purrs. "I've waited so long for this moment." His words send a shudder through me, memories flooding back. The wedding, Thomas's lifeless body, my family slaughtered before my eyes, all because of this monster. "You've always been mine," he continues, reaching out to stroke my cheek. "From the first moment I saw you, I knew I had to have you." I fight the urge to recoil from his touch, instead leaning into it like the obedient pet he wants me to be. My skin crawls, but I endure. I have to. As his hand moves to grip my chin, forcing me to look up at him, I'm transported back to that dungeon cell. The despair, the overwhelming desire to die, to join my loved ones in oblivion. But that Mercedes is gone now. In her place stands a woman with purpose, with a burning need for vengeance. I may be on my knees before him now, but soon, oh so soon, our positions will be reversed. And when that moment comes, I'll savour every second of his suffering. A small smile plays at the corners of my mouth, one the captain mistakes for submission. Little does he know, it's anticipation. For the first time since that fateful day, I feel truly alive. My purpose is clear, my resolve unshakable. I will have my revenge, no matter the cost. I repeat over and over in my head. The captain's grip tightens on my arm as he yanks me to my feet. Before I can steady myself, he throws me onto the bed. The mattress barely cushions the impact, knocking the breath from my lungs. Finally, he growls, looming over me. You're where you belong. His hands grasp at my gown, ripping the delicate fabric. I flinch, fighting the urge to cover myself. Every instinct screams at me to fight back, but I force myself to remain still. This is part of the plan. I have to endure. On your knees, he barks, grabbing a fistful of my hair. I grip my teeth as he drags me off the bed, forcing me to kneel before him. The cold floor bites into my skin, a stark contrast to the heat of rage building inside me. Perfect, he sneers, running a finger along my jaw. You make such a lovely piece of furniture. Before I can process his words, he places a goblet on my back. I stiffen, struggling to keep perfectly still as he uses me like a table. The weight of the cup is nothing compared to the weight of my fury. Where is Azaruk? I scan the room, desperate for any sign of him. But I know he can't enter. The anti-demon magic pulses around us, an invisible barrier keeping my dark saviour at bay. I need to invite him in. Somehow I have to break through this magical shield. But how? My mind races, searching for a solution as the captain continues to degrade me. You know, he muses, sipping his wine. I think I prefer you like this, silent, obedient, nothing but an object for my pleasure. I swallow hard, choking back the venom I long to spit at him. Just a little longer, I tell myself. Soon Azaruk will be here. Soon we'll make this monster pay for everything he's done. But first, I need to find a way to let Azaruk in. My heart pounds as I realise what I must do. The thought of kissing this monster makes my skin crawl, but I know it's necessary. I have to get close enough to use my newfound powers. Swallowing my revulsion, I look up at the captain through lowered lashes. Please, my lord, I whisper, forcing a tremor into my voice. I need you. He raises an eyebrow, clearly surprised by my sudden change in demeanour. Oh? And what exactly do you need, pet? I bite my lip, playing the part of the shy, eager lover. Your kiss, my lord. I want to taste you. The captain's eyes darken with lust, but he doesn't move. He's enjoying this, the bastard, making me beg. Please, I whimper, hating myself for every word. I'm yours, your brat. Use me as you wish. A cruel laugh escapes his lips. Well, it seems you've finally learned your place. Before I can react, he grabs my hair, yanking me forward. His lips crash against mine, hungry and demanding. I fight the urge to gag as his tongue invades my mouth. This is it, my chance. I focus on the demonic energy coursing through my veins, willing it to flow into him. It's like trying to direct a raging river with my bare hands. But slowly, I feel it working. My eyes begin to burn, and I know they must be glowing with an otherworldly light. The captain stiffens against me, his body going rigid. He tries to pull away, but I hold him close, pouring every ounce of power I can muster into him. This is the most I can manage, and I pray it's enough. Suddenly, he begins to convulse. His eyes roll back in his head, and his entire body shakes violently. I push him away with all my strength, watching as he collapses to the floor, twitching and gasping. Rage and disgust fuel my actions as I stand over him. Without thinking, I bring my foot down hard on his groin. He howls in pain, curling into a fetal position. "That's for my family," I spit, my voice trembling with fury. But there's no time to savour this small victory. I need to act fast. I rush to the door, my heart pounding in my chest. As I fling it open, I call out into the empty hallway. "Azaruk, I invite you in!" My words echo through the corridor, and for a moment, nothing happens. Then, like a shadow come to life, Azaruk materialises before me. His eyes gleam with wicked delight as he takes in the scene behind me. "Well done, my pet," he purrs, stepping into the room. "Now let's have some real fun."
In a world of elves, demons, and liches.
What would you choose?
Power?
Or passion?
Would you stab the monster in the back?
Or take him to bed?
The immersive fantasy audiobook bundle has it all.
Go to worldsofprotheka.com to get access.
Use code YouTube30 to get an additional 30% off.
Protheka's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.
Chapter 12. Azaruk. The captain writhes on the floor, his eyes rolling back as Mercedes channels my power through her newly acquired demonic abilities. His body convulses, muscles spasming uncontrollably. I can't help but smirk at the pathetic display. "More," I whisper in Mercedes' ear, my breath hot against her skin. "Show him true suffering." Her eyes blaze with an otherworldly fire as she focuses her hatred on the writhing elf. The air crackles with dark energy, and I feel a surge of pride at how quickly she's adapted to her new powers. The captain's mouth opens in a silent scream, drool trickling down his chin. His limbs twitch and jerk, no longer under his control. It's a delicious sight, but I want more. "Make him yours," I growl. "Bend his will to your command." She nods, her jaw clenched in concentration. She reaches out, grasping the captain's face in her hands. Her fingers dig into his skin, leaving angry red marks. "You are nothing," she hisses. "You will obey me in all things." The captain's eyes snap open, glassy and unfocused. His lips move, forming words I can't quite catch. She leans in closer, her ear nearly touching his mouth. "What was that?" she asks, her voice dripping with contempt. "I obey," the captain rasps, his voice barely above a whisper. A wicked grin spreads across Mercedes' face. She turns to me, her eyes alight with triumph and malice. "He's mine now. What should I do with him?" I cross my arms, leaning against the wall. This is her moment, her revenge. I'm curious to see how far she'll go. "Whatever you desire," I reply, gesturing toward the broken elf. "He's your toy now. Show me what you're capable of." I watch Mercedes, her eyes gleaming with a newfound power that sends shivers down my spine. The captain lies at her feet, a pathetic heap of flesh and bone. His once proud demeanor has crumbled, leaving behind a shell of a man. "How does it feel?" I ask, my voice low and hungry. "To finally have him under your control?" She turns to me, her lips curling into a wicked smile. "It's intoxicating," she purrs, her voice dripping with dark satisfaction. "I never thought I'd feel this alive." She kicks the captain, eliciting a whimper from him. The sound sends a thrill through me. I've seen countless beings broken, but watching her embrace her newfound power is something else entirely. "My family," she starts, her voice catching slightly. "They'll never come back. Nothing can change that." I nod, understanding the weight of her loss. It's a pain I've never experienced, but I can see it etched in every line of her face. But this, she continues, gesturing to the captain's prone form. Seeing him like this, it helps. More than I thought possible. She crouches down, grabbing a fistful of the captain's hair and yanking his head back. "Look at me," she hisses. The captain's eyes, once filled with cruel arrogance, now shine with fear and subservience. "It won't bring them back," Mercedes says, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it's a start." I feel a swell of pride watching her. She's taken to her new powers with a natural grace, embracing the darkness within her. It's beautiful to behold. Her face contorts with unbridled rage as she launches herself at the captain. Her fists rain down on his face, each blow punctuated by a guttural cry of anguish. Blood splatters across her knuckles, but she doesn't slow down. "This is for Thomas!" she screams, slamming her knee into his ribs. "For my papa!" Another punch lands squarely on his jaw. The captain's body jerks with each impact, but he doesn't fight back. His eyes, glazed over from my influence, stare blankly at the ceiling. As much as I'm enjoying the show, I can't let her kill him. Not yet. "Easy there, Wildcat," I say, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Remember, we need him alive." She whirls on me, eyes blazing with hellfire. For a moment, I think she might attack me too. But then she blinks, and a flicker of reason returns to her gaze. "Right," she pants, wiping blood from her chin. "Alive. But why? I want him dead, Azaruk. I want to rip his heart out and feed it to him." I can't help but chuckle at her bloodthirsty enthusiasm. Oh, we'll get there. But first, why not have some fun? You've only scratched the surface of your new powers. As much as Samara and I want to finish what these two characters have started, it looks like this chapter is about to get too hot for YouTube to handle.
Unfortunately, we have to pause here because their guidelines won't allow us to reveal the spiciest details.
To keep bringing you these free audiobooks, we have to follow their rules.
But don't worry. You can experience the full unabridged version over at worldsofprotheka.com, where the boundaries of passion and fantasy collide.
Use code YouTube30 for 30% off any of our unabridged audiobooks set in the rich and immersive worlds of Protheka.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
With these scenes, it will be unforgettable.
Chapter 13. Mercedes.
This scene is about to get too steamy for YouTube's comfort. And as much as we'd love to keep going, their guidelines say we need to stop here.
To continue releasing these free audiobooks on this platform, we've got to play by the rules.
The passion doesn't end here.
Visit worldsofprotheka.com to hear the full, uncut version of this fantasy romance, and every daring moment that YouTube can't handle.
Use code YouTube30 for 30% off unabridged audiobooks in the worlds of Protheka.
Don't let YouTube hold you back. Immerse yourself in a world of magic, danger, and unfiltered passion.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
Listen unabridged and you'll never want to go back.
Chapter 14. Azaruk. I keep my promise to Mercedes and give the captain back his life. Get your ass to the festivities, Captain. Make sure you're on your best behavior for our esteemed guest. The captain's glazed eyes flicker with a hint of resistance before dulling again. He nods mechanically and shuffles out the door. I turn to admire Mercedes' handiwork. She's straddling the vice-captain, driving her dagger into his chest with savage glee. A consequence of him coming to check on the captain. Blood sprays across her face, highlighting those mesmerizing eyes. "Having fun, my little demon?" Mercedes looks up, her lips curled in a feral grin. More than I ever imagined. I stride over, running a finger through the blood on her cheek before licking it clean. "Savor it. But don't forget our goal." She nods, wiping her blade on the corpse's shirt. "The noble elf. When do we strike?" "Patience," First, we need to dispose of this body. Can't have anyone stumbling upon our little party favor, can we? She giggles, a sound both charming and chilling. She's taking to her new nature beautifully. I grab the vice captain's legs while she takes his arms. We haul him to the window, tossing the lifeless husk into the shadows below. Now then, I purr, pulling Mercedes close. Let's get you cleaned up. We have a party to crash. She grins at me, her eyes alight with a newfound fire. I can feel the power coursing through me, Azaruk. It's intoxicating. I can't help but laugh. Her enthusiasm is infectious, and the way her eyes dance with that mixture of innocence and newfound darkness is utterly captivating. I lean in, pressing my lips to hers in a soft kiss. The taste of blood still lingers on her tongue, and it sends a thrill through me. Oh, my sweet little demon, I murmur against her lips. There's so much more to come. She shivers at my words, pressing herself closer to me. Her body radiates heat, the demonic energy within her pulsing in time with her racing heart. I run my hands down her sides, reveling in the way she responds to my touch. More? She breathes, her voice a mix of excitement and trepidation. I nod, trailing kisses along her jaw. Her eagerness is delicious. Her eyes dance with anticipation. Will there be more blood? I kiss her deeply, savoring the metallic tang on her lips. Oh yes, my dear. Rivers of it. I run my eyes over her, admiring her transformation. The chains clink softly as she shifts, the metal cuffs gleaming against her skin. She's the perfect picture of a captive slave, vulnerable yet defiant. My lips curl into a smirk. The noble won't be able to resist. How do I look? She asks, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Delectable, I purr, circling her. Our guest of honor won't know what hit him. I focus, feeling my form shift and morph. Bones crack and realign as I take on the appearance of the dead vice captain. Mercedes watches, fascination evident in her gaze. Ready to play your part, my little demon? She nods, lowering her eyes in a show of subservience. Yes, master. The word sends a thrill through me. I grab the chain attached to her collar, giving it a gentle tug. We make our way through the corridors, Mercedes stumbling behind me as if truly bound. The sounds of the festivities grow louder as we approach the main hall. I can smell the fear and excitement rolling off her in waves. As we enter, all eyes turn to us. The noble elf sits at the head table, his gaze immediately fixing on Mercedes. I suppress a grin. The trap is set. As we approach the noble elf, a faint shimmer catches my eye. Damn. The anti-demon magic item hangs from his neck, pulsing with an ethereal glow. My lips twitch into a frown before I smooth my expression. One wrong move and this whole charade goes up in smoke. I tug Mercedes's chain, pulling her close. Change of plans, I whisper, my lips barely moving. You're taking point. Her eyes widen for a fraction of a second before she nods imperceptibly. Smart girl. She understands the gravity of the situation without needing an explanation. I hang back, watching as the captain leads Mercedes toward the noble elf. My face remains impassive, but inside my mind races with calculations and contingencies. The noble's eyes light up as Mercedes approaches. She plays her part perfectly, eyes downcast but with a hint of defiance that's impossible to miss. The captain introduces her, his voice a monotone thanks to her control. My lord, may I present this special gift for your enjoyment? The noble leans forward, his gaze raking over Mercedes's form. My, what a delightful surprise. I suppress a smirk. The fool has no idea what's coming for him. She raises her eyes, meeting the noble's gaze. Even from here I can see the momentary flash of power in her eyes. The noble's breath catches. Come closer, my dear, he purrs, beckoning her forward. She obeys, her chains clinking softly as she moves. The captain releases her chain, and the noble reaches out, running a finger along her jaw. My fists clench at my sides, an unexpected surge of possessiveness rising within me. Focus, I remind myself. The mission comes first. But as I watch Mercedes work her magic on the unsuspecting noble, I can't help but imagine whisking her away from all this. Soon we'll be done here, and I can claim my prize fully. The noble elf's eyes gleam with lust as he regards Mercedes. Dance for me, my pretty slave. Mercedes bows her head submissively, then begins to move. The chains clink rhythmically as she sways her hips, her movements fluid and sensual despite the restraints. I watch, transfixed as she twirls and undulates. Even bound, she's graceful as a viper, just as deadly and alluring. The other elves fade into the background. All I can see is her. Sorry for the interruption. I know you were gearing up for a steamy scene, but it's way too hot for YouTube.
If we want to keep sharing our stories for free, we have to abide by YouTube's guidelines.
To get the full unabridged audiobook, go to worldsofprotheka.com.
Browse through unabridged audiobooks, countless ebooks and bundles offered at a discount.
If the thought of me whispering all the dirty details into your ear isn't enticing enough, use discount code YouTube30 to get 30% off of all digital products.
Story after story, audiobook after audiobook, the Worlds of Protheka are waiting for you.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
But unabridged, it's unforgettable. Chapter 15. Mercedes. The music pulses through me, a primal beat that matches the thundering of my heart. My hips sway, my body undulates, power courses through my veins, intoxicating and dangerous. This is it, my moment. I lock eyes with the noble dark elf. His gaze rakes over me, hungry and possessive. Disgust churns in my gut, but I force a coy smile. Just a little longer. Come here, pretty thing, he purrs. I slink towards him, every step calculated. The chains of my slave costume jingle softly. How fitting. Soon they'll all be in chains. His hand snakes out, grasping my wrist. I suppress a shudder as he pulls me onto his lap. Such fire in your eyes, he murmurs. The noble's laughter grates on my ears as he yanks me closer. Give me a dance, little human, he commands, his breath hot against my neck. I swallow my revulsion and begin to move. My hips sway, my body undulates to the pulsing rhythm. But as I dance, my gaze locks with Azaruk's across the room. Those demon eyes burn into mine, igniting a fire deep within. My lips part, tongue darting out to wet them. Suddenly, it's not the noble I'm dancing for. In my mind, it's Azaruk's lap I'm straddling, his hands gripping my waist. I imagine his claws trailing fire along my skin, his mouth hot and demanding on my neck. My breath catches as I picture grinding against him, feeling his hardness pressed against me. The fantasy consumes me. I close my eyes, losing myself in the rhythm and the thought of Azaruk's touch. His hands would roam freely, possessive and hungry. His lips would claim mine in a searing kiss that steals my breath away. I picture his tail wrapping around my thigh, pulling me closer as I writhe against him. The music thrums through me, matching the pounding of my heart and the heat building between my legs. In my mind, Azaruk's mouth travels lower, teeth grazing my collarbone. I have to bite back a moan, reminding myself where I really am. But oh, how I wish it were him I was dancing for instead of this vile noble. The noble's grip on my waist tightens. I want you. He growls, his breath hot against my ear. A shiver of revulsion runs through me, but I force a coy smile. Of course, my lord, I purr, batting my eyelashes. He stands abruptly, nearly toppling me off his lap. Varen, he calls to his friend, join us. This little morsel looks like she can handle two. My heart races. This is it, The opportunity we've been waiting for. I scan the room again, searching for Azaruk, but now he's nowhere to be seen. A flicker of panic threatens to overwhelm me, but I push it down. He must be preparing for his part of the mission. The noble and his friend, Varen, lead me from the banquet hall. Their hands paw at me as we stumble down dimly lit corridors. I force myself to giggle, playing the part of the eager slave. We reach an ornate door, and the noble shoves it open. The bedroom beyond is lavish, all silk sheets and velvet curtains. My stomach churns at the thought of what's about to happen. You're doing this for a reason. Don't forget that. It'll all be worth it in the end. The noble's hands roam my body, his touch leaving trails of disgust in their wake. I force myself to lean into him, grinding my hips against his. Varen presses against my back, his breath hot on my neck. But in my mind it's Azaruk's hands on me, his body I'm pressed against. It's Azaruk. Think about him to get you through this. I trail my fingers down the noble's chest, searching for the anti-demon magic item. There, a small amulet tucked beneath his robes. I caress it, channeling my newfound powers. The amulet grows hot under my touch, then crumbles to dust. The noble tries to capture my lips, but I duck my head, nuzzling his neck instead. Patience, my lord, I purr. Let me pleasure you first. I shimmy down his body, my hands working at his belt. As I do, I scan the room for the other ward. There, on the bedside table, a glowing crystal. Varen grabs my hips, pulling me back against him. I arch my back, pressing my arse into his groin. He groans, hands tightening. Such a eager little thing, he murmurs, leaning in for a kiss. I turn my head at the last second, his lips grazing my cheek instead. Let me show you what this mouth can do, I whisper, sliding to my knees before him. As I work at Varen's belt, I reach out with my powers. The crystal on the bedside table vibrates, then shatters silently. Both wards are destroyed. Now we wait for Azaruk. The elves' hands are all over me, their touch is growing more frantic, but all I can think of is Azaruk's burning gaze, his demonic form, the way his tail wrapped around my thigh. I close my eyes, losing myself in the fantasy as I continue to tease and distract the elves. The elves' hands are everywhere, pawing and groping. Their hot breath on my skin makes my stomach churn. I fight to keep my composure, reminding myself it's all part of the plan. Such soft skin, the noble growls, ripping my bodice. The sound of tearing fabric echoes in the room. Varen's fingers dig into my hips. I want to taste her first, he snarls. They're like animals, rutting and snorting. I close my eyes, trying to distance myself from their touch. Where is Azaruk? The noble shoves me onto the bed. Hold her down, he commands Varen. Rough hands pin my wrists above my head. I struggle, no longer needing to pretend. Fear claws at my throat. Look at her squirm, Varen laughs, like a little mouse. The noble looms over me, eyes wild with lust. His fingers hook into the waistband of my panties. Let's see what treasures you're hiding, little mouse. Just as he starts to tug, a deafening crash shakes the room. In a blur of motion, Varen is ripped away from me. His body flies across the room, slamming into the far wall with a sickening crunch. I gasp, sitting up. There, in all his demonic glory, stands Azaruk. His eyes blaze with fury, tail lashing behind him.
Chapter 16. Azaruk. The noble elf's eyes widen as I materialize in the room. His hand reaches for a weapon, but I'm faster. My claws extend, slashing across his chest before he can react. Blood sprays, painting the walls crimson. "What in the hells?" he sputters, stumbling back. I grin, savoring the fear in his eyes. Surprise. He lunges at me with inhuman speed, but I sidestep easily. My tail whips around, slicing into his leg. He howls in pain. "Mercedes!" I call out. She doesn't hesitate. In one fluid motion, she sheds her fake chains and pounces on the elf's friend. Her eyes gleam with a predatory hunger I've never seen before. It's intoxicating. The noble elf tries to aid his companion, but I block his path. Aha, your fight's with me. We trade blows, his elven grace matching my demonic strength. But he's tiring, his movements becoming sluggish. I can smell his desperation. The noble elf's eyes dart to the side, desperation etched on his face. I follow his gaze, spotting the anti-demon magic item on the nightstand. A smirk tugs at my lips. Poor fool doesn't realize it's already useless. "Looking for this?" I taunt, snatching the item before he can reach it. His face pales. "No." I dangle the trinket in front of him, relishing the panic in his eyes. "Your little safeguard? I'm afraid it's not quite up to snuff." The elf lunges for it, but I dance out of reach. His movements are clumsy, driven by fear rather than skill. It's almost disappointing. "You see," I continue, examining the item with mock interest, "my lovely assistant here already took care of this nuisance." She pauses her assault on the friend to flash me a blood-stained grin. The elf's eyes widen in horror as he realizes the depth of his predicament. "No, that's impossible," he stammers. I shrug. "Impossible? Perhaps for you." With a swift motion, I crush the item in my hand, reducing it to dust. But for us? Child's play. The elf's shoulders slump in defeat. It's almost pitiable. Almost. "Now then," I purr, advancing on him with claws extended. "Shall we finish what we started?" The noble elf's desperation grows palpable as he realizes the futility of his situation. His eyes dart wildly around the room, searching for an escape that doesn't exist. "Help! Guards!" he screams, his voice cracking with panic. I can't help but chuckle. "Scream all you want! No one's coming to save you!" He lunges at me again, but his movements are sluggish, uncoordinated. I sidestep easily, my tail whipping out to slice across his back. He stumbles, barely keeping his footing. "Getting tired?" I taunt, circling him like a predator stalking its prey. The elf grits his teeth, summoning what little strength he has left. He charges, swinging wildly. I dance around his attacks, letting him wear himself out further. It's almost too easy. "You know," I muse, dodging another clumsy swing, "I expected more from a noble elf. This is rather disappointing." Rage flashes in his eyes. Good. Anger makes him sloppy. He rushes at me again, but I'm ready. My claws rake across his chest, drawing fresh blood. He staggers back, gasping. "Please," he wheezes, "I'll give you anything. Gold, power, whatever you want." I laugh, the sound echoing off the walls. "Oh, you poor fool. I already have what I want." My gaze flicks to Mercedes, still straddling the lifeless body of the elf's friend. Her eyes meet mine, burning with a hunger that matches my own. She grins, blood staining her teeth. I step back, my eyes locked on Mercedes. This is her moment. Her revenge. "He's all yours, my dear," I purr, gesturing to the cowering elf. Her eyes light up with a feral gleam. She leaps from the corpse of the elf's friend, her movements fluid and predatory. As if sensing her intent, a large sword materializes on the wall behind the noble. Without hesitation, she lunges for it. Her hand wraps around the hilt, and in one smooth motion, she tears it from its mount. The blade sings as it cuts through the air. The noble elf's eyes widen in terror. He opens his mouth to plead, but it's too late. She swings the sword with unexpected strength and precision. The blade connects with the elf's neck, and for a moment, time seems to stand still. Then, with a sickening thud, his head hits the floor. Blood sprays from the severed neck, painting Mercedes in crimson. "Good girl. You did fantastic." She stands there, sword still raised, a look of surprise on her face. It's as if she can't quite believe what she's just done. I watch, fascinated, as the realization dawns on her. Slowly, her expression changes. The surprise melts away, replaced by something else entirely. Ecstasy. Pure, unadulterated joy spreads across her features. She throws her head back and laughs, a sound of pure elation and release. That felt amazing. They didn't even see it coming. We worked so good together. I can't take my eyes off her. The blood-soaked vision before me is intoxicating. She turns to me, her eyes wild with bloodlust and power. She's never looked more beautiful. We exit the room, dragging the noble elf's headless corpse behind us. The wet squelch of flesh on stone echoes through the empty hallway. "Ready to paint the rest of this place red?" I ask, grinning. Her eyes, once soft and innocent, now gleam with a predator's hunger. Born ready.
Chapter 17. Mercedes. Blood splatters across my face as I swing the sword, decapitating another dark elf. The metallic scent fills my nostrils, intoxicating. My body hums with newfound power, every nerve ending alive and crackling with demonic energy. "More," I growl, my eyes scanning the chaotic banquet hall for my next victim. Azaruk materializes beside me, his demon form a terrifying sight to behold. Long talons drip with gore, red veins pulsing beneath his skin. His eyes meet mine, a predatory gleam matching my own. "Having fun, my little reaper?" He grins, revealing sharp fangs. I've never felt so alive. A scream pierces the air. I whirl around to see a dark elf noble scrambling towards the exit. With inhuman speed, I'm on him in seconds. My hand wraps around his throat, lifting him off the ground. "Please," he chokes out. "Mercy." I laugh, the sound cold and hollow. "Mercy? Did you show mercy to my family? To Thomas?" His eyes widen in recognition. Good. I want him to know who's ending his miserable existence. My fingers tighten, crushing his windpipe. The light fades from his eyes as I watch, savouring every moment. When his body goes limp, I toss him aside like garbage. Azaruk appears at my side, licking blood from his claws. "You're a natural. It's beautiful to watch." I turn to face him, my heart racing with adrenaline and something else. Desire. "This is just the beginning," I purr, running a blood-soaked hand down his chest. He grabs my wrist, bringing my fingers to his mouth. His tongue darts out, lapping at the blood. A shiver runs through me. "Later," he promises, his voice husky. "We have more pigs to slaughter." I nod, refocusing on our grim task. All around us, dark elves scramble in terror. Some beg for their lives, others try to fight back. It doesn't matter. They're all dead men walking. We move through the hall like a well-oiled killing machine. His raw power and my newfound abilities make us unstoppable. For every elf he rips apart, I behead another. Their blood paints the walls, their screams a symphony of vengeance. Through the chaos and carnage, I spot him, the captain, my tormentor. He stands woodenly at the edge of the room, awaiting orders like the puppet he's become. A wicked smile curves my lips. "Captain," I purr, sauntering towards him. "It's time for a family reunion." His blank eyes meet mine. No trace of the cruel bastard remains. Just an empty shell, ready to do my bidding. "Kill them," I command. "Your family, all of them." Without hesitation, he moves. His steps are quick, purposeful. I follow, eager to watch. We enter a side chamber. His wife cowers in a corner, clutching their young son. The captain approaches, sword raised. "Darling," his wife whimpers, "what are you doing?" The blade falls. Blood sprays. I drink in their screams, relishing every moment. The captain turns to his son next. The boy's eyes are wide with terror and confusion. "Papa, no!" Another swing, another spray of crimson. My laughter mingles with their dying gasps. I'm so engrossed in the spectacle that I don't notice the dark elf creeping up behind me. Suddenly, Azaruk's voice cuts through my euphoria. "Mercedes, behind you!" I whirl around, narrowly dodging a blade aimed at my throat. With inhuman speed, I grab the attacker's wrist and snap it like a twig. Azaruk appears at my side, concern etched on his demonic features. "Be careful," he growls. "I don't want to lose you." His words hit me like a physical blow. In all this madness, I'd forgotten. We're in this together. Partners. Maybe even more. I nod, a new determination flooding through me. "Let's finish this," I say. Together. More nobles rush at us, their faces contorted with rage and fear. I meet them head on, my newfound powers surging through me. Blood splatters across my face as I tear through their ranks, my movements a blur of deadly precision. "Is this all you've got?" I taunt, my voice dripping with malice. Azaruk fights beside me, his demonic form a whirlwind of destruction. Together we're unstoppable. As the last noble falls, I turn my attention back to the captain. He stands there, vacant-eyed, awaiting my next command. Only one family member remains, his elderly father, cowering in the corner. A wicked idea forms in my mind. "Stop!" I order the captain, just as he raises his sword. I saunter over to the old man, relishing his terror. "Your son has been such an obedient pet," I coo. "Let's see how far we can push him, shall we?" Turning to the captain, I loosen my demonic control just enough. "Drink his blood," I command. "Eat his flesh." The captain's eyes widen in horror as his body moves against his will. He fights it, muscles straining, but it's futile. His teeth sink into his father's neck, tearing flesh, gulping blood. "No, please," the captain sobs, even as he continues to feast. I watch, fascinated, as tears stream down his face, mixing with the blood of his last living relative. A laugh bubbles up from deep within me, dark and unhinged. My own eyes well up, tears of vindication and twisted joy. "How does it feel?" I ask, my voice trembling with emotion. "To destroy everything you love?" The captain can only whimper in response, his mouth full of his son's flesh. I throw my head back and laugh, the sound echoing off the blood-soaked walls. At last, my revenge is complete. The pain of losing my family, my Thomas, all of it. It doesn't disappear, but something else takes its place. A savage satisfaction that leaves me breathless. As the last echoes of my laughter fade, a sudden emptiness washes over me. The bodies of my enemies litter the floor, their blood cooling beneath my feet. I've done it. I've had my revenge. But now what? My hands shake as the adrenaline ebbs away. The rage that fueled me, the hatred that drove me forward. It's all gone. In its place, a gaping void threatens to swallow me whole. What am I supposed to do now? The thought of returning to my old life seems impossible. That Mercedes died with her family. But this new creature I've become, what place does she have in the world? I look down at my blood-soaked hands, feeling lost and adrift. Without my vengeance to focus on, I'm rudderless, a ship without a destination. Azaruk approaches, his demon form still intimidating despite all we've been through together. He studies me with those otherworldly eyes, and I wonder if he can sense my inner turmoil. "Mercedes," he says, his voice softer than I've ever heard it. "It's over now. You've had your revenge." I nod, unable to find words. He reaches out, cupping my face in his clawed hand. I should flinch away, but instead, I lean into his touch. "What will you do now?" he asks. I shake my head, feeling tears well up in my eyes. I don't know, I whisper. I don't know who I am anymore. He pulls me closer, his demonic features softening. Then let me show you, he says. Give yourself to me, not just for the contract, but completely. My heart races at his words. Is this what I want? But as I look into his eyes, I see something I never expected, a glimmer of genuine care, maybe even love. He leans in, his lips brushing my ear as he whispers, "Can I be your new purpose in life?" From the depths of the darkness of Protheka,
Or clawing up from the realms of fantasy.
come the most fearsome beasts you have ever seen.
These monsters are done watching from the shadows.
Now, as they step into the light, something unexpected grips them.
Something even they can't fight off.
Love,
Vampires.
demons,
Dark elves.
gods.
Minotaurs. Creatures of light and dark.
They will protect their mates.
Do whatever needs to be done.
Morally grey heroes who will burn the world to protect the women who love them.
10 audiobooks.
Fall into over 60 hours of fantasy romance.
20 ebooks.
Over 1 million words of these brutes who will protect their women.
Even if they might destroy themselves in the process.
Get the immersive Protheka fantasy romance bundle.
For 80% off, right now, dive into Protheka at a once-in-a-lifetime discount.
The first bundle to offer both ebooks and audiobooks on worldsofprotheka.com. Protheka's magic is eternal, and this romantasy bundle will make it endless.
Chapter 18. Azaruk. Mercedes's eyes widen, surprise flickering across her blood-splattered face. For a moment I fear I've overstepped. But then her lips curve into a soft smile, and relief washes over me. Yes, she whispers. I'm ready to leave this behind, to start anew, with you. My non-existent heart races. I've never felt this way before. This strange, intoxicating mix of possessiveness and something else. Something warm and unfamiliar. I pull her close, my talons gentle against her skin. The scent of blood and death surrounds us, but all I can focus on is her. The depth of her eyes, the curve of her lips. Our mouths meet in a searing kiss. It's different from before, not just lust and power, but something more. Something that makes my demonic soul sing. I taste the salt of her tears, the copper of blood. My tongue explores her mouth as my hands roam her body. She moans softly, pressing closer. When we finally part, breathless, I see a new light in her eyes. Gone is the broken girl I first encountered. In her place stands a woman reborn, fierce and beautiful. "What now?" she asks, her voice husky. I grin, showing my fangs. "Now, my dear, we conquer the world." I take her hand, feeling the warmth of her skin against my demonic flesh. The contrast thrills me in ways I never thought possible. "It's time to leave this place behind," I tell her, my voice low and husky. "Are you ready for a new adventure?" Her eyes, those mesmerizing orbs that first captivated me, sparkle with anticipation. "More than ready," she breathes. With a flick of my wrist, I summon my power. The air around us crackles with energy, and a shimmering portal materializes before us. Through its swirling depths, I catch glimpses of glacies, a realm of eternal winter and untamed magic. "Welcome to my world," I purr, gesturing toward the portal. "Shall we?" Mercedes hesitates for just a moment, her gaze sweeping over the carnage we're leaving behind. Blood stains the floors, and the scent of death hangs heavy in the air. But when she looks back at me, there's no regret in her eyes, only fierce determination. "Let's go," she says firmly. I pull her close, wrapping my arm around her waist. Together we step through the portal. I feel her tense against me, but I hold her tight. The portal swallows us whole, and suddenly, we're adrift in a sea of stardust and whispers. She clings to me, her eyes wide with wonder as she takes in the spectacle. I can't help but stare at her, the lights dancing off her skin, her hair a wild halo around her face. She's breathtaking. "Azaruk," she breathes, her voice barely audible over the hum of the portal. "This is incredible." I smile, pulling her closer. "Just wait until you see my world." Her eyes meet mine, and there's a softness there, a warmth that makes my heart race. She leans in, her lips brushing against mine, gentle and exploratory. It's a far cry from our previous encounters, fueled by desperation and hunger. This time it's different. This time it's just us, lost in the moment, lost in each other. "Mercedes," I murmur against her lips, my hands cupping her face. Her skin is soft, warm, and I can feel her pulse quickening under my touch. I deepen the kiss, my tongue exploring her mouth, tasting her, savoring her. She moans softly, her body pressing against mine, and I can feel her need, her desire, mirroring my own. But this time, there's no rush, no urgency. This time, I want to worship her, to show her what she means to me. I trail kisses down her neck, my hands roaming her body, learning her curves, her secrets. "Azaruk, that feels so good," she whispers, her voice a plea, a prayer. I smile against her skin, my hands moving lower, tracing the curve of her hip, the line of her thigh. She shivers under my touch, her body responding to mine, opening up to me. "Oh my God, you're amazing." "So are you. But that was better than ever." She smiles. As the waves of pleasure subside, I hold her close, my heart pounding against hers. The portal's energy slowly fades, leaving us in a gentle embrace. I can feel her heartbeat, her breath, her life force intertwined with mine. And in that moment I know, I'm never letting her go. The portal's energy dissipates, and we find ourselves lying in each other's arms on the frozen ground of glacis. She shivers, her warm skin a stark contrast to the icy landscape around us. I pull her closer, wrapping my demonic form around her like a shield. "Welcome to my realm," I murmur, nuzzling her hair. She looks around, eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful and terrifying." I chuckle. "Just like me, then?" She smiles, tracing a finger along my jaw. "Exactly like you." I want nothing more than to stay here, basking in her warmth, but duty calls. The oath I swore to the dark elf tugs at me, an inescapable pull. "I have to go," I say reluctantly. "There's something I need to take care of." Disappointment flashes across her face, but she nods in understanding. "Will you be gone long?" "Not if I can help it." I cup her face, my thumb caressing her cheek. "I have a surprise for you when I return." Her eyes light up. "A surprise?" I grin, showing my fangs. "You'll see. For now, rest. You're safe here." I kiss her deeply, savoring her taste one last time before I go. As I pull away, I see her eyelids growing heavy. The events of the day and our passionate encounter have taken their toll. "Sleep," I whisper. "I'll be back before you know it." She mumbles something incoherent, already drifting off. I watch her for a moment, marveling at how peaceful she looks in slumber. Then, with a heavy heart, I force myself to leave her side. I have an oath to fulfill, after all, and the sooner I complete it, the sooner I can return to her. As much as Samara and I want to finish what these two characters have started, looks like this chapter is about to get too hot for YouTube to handle.
Unfortunately, we have to pause here because their guidelines won't allow us to reveal the spiciest details.
To keep bringing you these free audiobooks, we have to follow their rules.
But don't worry. You can experience the full, unabridged version over at worldsofprotheka.com, where the boundaries of passion and fantasy collide.
Use code YouTube30 for 30% off any of our unabridged audiobooks set in the rich and immersive worlds of Protheka.
Protheka's magic is eternal.
With these scenes, it will be unforgettable.
Chapter 19. Mercedes. I jolt awake, disoriented. Soft sheets caress my skin, a far cry from the dungeon floor. My lady, it's time to prepare. I blink, focusing on the unfamiliar faces hovering nearby. Servants, for me. They usher me to a steaming bath, scented with exotic oils. Gentle hands wash away the remnants of blood and grime. It feels surreal after everything I've been through. Wrapped in silken robes, they dress me in clothes finer than anything I've ever worn. My fingers trace the delicate embroidery, marvelling at its intricacy. This way, my lady. They guide me through winding corridors, each more opulent than the last. My heart races. What awaits me? Massive doors swing open, revealing a cavernous throne room. And there he is, Azaruk. He rises, a predatory grace in his movements. Mercedes. My name on his lips sends a shiver down my spine. I approach, unsure of the protocol. He takes my hand, leading me to a balcony. Look, he says, gesturing to the sprawling landscape below. My breath catches. An endless sea of white, punctuated by jagged mountains and glittering ice formations. It's beautiful and terrifying all at once. This is our fief in the glacies, he explains. Everything you see belongs to us. United States. The word echoes in my mind. I'm no longer just a human slave, but what exactly? I turn to him, questions bubbling up. But before I can speak, his lips claim mine in a searing kiss. After a minute, his lips leave mine, and I'm left breathless. His eyes gleam with mischief. I have a surprise for you, my dear. My heart skips. After everything that's happened, I'm not sure what to expect. He takes my hand, leading me away from the balcony. We descend deeper into the fortress, the opulent corridors giving way to rougher stone. The air grows colder, damper. Where are we going? I ask, a shiver running down my spine. Patience, he purrs, squeezing my hand. We reach a heavy iron door. He waves his hand, and it creaks open. The stench of decay and despair hits me like a physical force. Welcome to our dungeon, he says, ushering me inside. My eyes adjust to the dim light. At first, I see nothing but shadows. Then, movement catches my eye. I gasp. Chained to the floor are spirits? No, souls. Dozens of them, writhing and moaning. Their ethereal forms flicker like dying flames. Are those? I can't finish the question. The souls of the dark elves you killed. He confirms, his voice thick with pride. I captured them for you. I stare, mesmerised and horrified. I recognise faces, the captain, his family, soldiers from the camp. Their eyes, once so cruel, now filled with terror. My heart races as I stare at the writhing souls before me. Happiness bursts from deep within, a fierce joy I've never experienced before. Can it be true? My tormentors, trapped here for eternity. Azaruk, I breathe, barely able to form words. Does this mean I can torture them forever? His eyes gleam with dark satisfaction. Yes, my dear. They're yours to do with as you please. Their suffering is in your hands now. A heady rush of power floods through me. I imagine all the ways I can make them pay, all the pain I can inflict. It's intoxicating. Without thinking, I throw myself into Azaruk's arms. My lips find his, desperate and hungry. I pour all my gratitude, all my newfound joy into that kiss. He responds with equal fervour, his hands tangling in my hair. When we finally break apart, I'm breathless. "Thank you," I whisper against his lips. "Thank you for giving me this." He cups my face, his touch surprisingly gentle. "You've more than earned it. Your strength, your determination, they deserve to be rewarded." I turn back to the souls, my mind already spinning with possibilities. Where should I start? The captain who destroyed my family, or perhaps one of his lackeys? Azaruk's voice cuts through my thoughts. "Take your time, my dear. We have eternity." Eternity. The word sends a shiver down my spine. An eternity of revenge, of power, of us. I look up at him, seeing something new in his eyes, something beyond our initial bargain. My heart swells. This is more than I ever dreamed possible. Revenge, power, and perhaps love? "Mercedes," he murmurs, his voice low and husky. "You're not just a human slave anymore. You're a force to be reckoned with. You're my partner." His words send a thrill through me. I've never felt so seen, so understood. It's a feeling that fills me with a sense of belonging, of rightness. "And you," I say, my voice steady and sure. "You're not just a demon to me. You're more. You're my protector, my guide, my everything." He smiles, a genuine smile that reaches his eyes. It's a sight I've never seen before, and it takes my breath away. "Together," he says, his voice filled with conviction, "we'll conquer the world." "Together," I echo, my voice filled with the same conviction. As we stand there, surrounded by the writhing souls of our enemies, I feel a sense of completeness. This is where I belong. This is who I am now.
Chapter 20. Azaruk. The screams echo through the dungeon, a symphony of agony that sends shivers of delight down my spine. I lean against the cold stone wall, savoring the sound. "More," Mercedes demands, her voice husky with desire. "I wanted them suffer." I watch as she carves intricate patterns into the soul of a dark elf, her eyes gleaming with malicious glee. 3 months of practice have honed her skills to near perfection. The tortured spirit writhes beneath her touch, its ethereal form twisting in ways that defy mortal comprehension. "You've become quite the artist, my dear," I purr, admiring her handiwork. She turns to me, a wicked smile playing on her lips. Blood, both real and spectral, stains her hands and face. It only enhances her beauty. "I had an excellent teacher," she replies, sauntering over to me. Her hips sway hypnotically with each step. I pull her close, inhaling the intoxicating scent of death and power that clings to her skin. My fingers trace the curve of her jaw, leaving trails of fire in their wake. "And what shall we do once you've exhausted your supply of souls?" I ask, genuinely curious. The vengeful fury that first drew me to her has mellowed into something darker, more controlled, more dangerous. She laughs, the sound rich and throaty. "Oh, Azaruk, don't you know? There are always more souls to torment." Her words send a thrill through me. I capture her lips in a searing kiss, tasting the lingering traces of blood and anguish. When we part, both of us are breathless. A familiar tingle crawls up my spine as the contract materializes before me. Another job, another opportunity to indulge in the chaos I crave. I scan the details, a grin spreading across my face. "Mercedes, my dear," I call out. "How do you fancy a trip to Protheka?" She appears in the doorway, eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Another hunt?" I nod, relishing the excitement that radiates from her. A high-ranking official this time. Quite the challenge. "Perfect," she purrs, sauntering towards me. I was beginning to grow bored. We prepare swiftly, gathering our tools of destruction with practiced ease. As we step through the portal to Protheka, the thrill of the hunt courses through my veins. The bustling city greets us, oblivious to the havoc we're about to unleash. Mercedes slips into her role seamlessly, playing the part of a simpering servant, while I adopt the guise of a wealthy merchant. We infiltrate the officials' inner circle with laughable ease. These fools, so caught up in their petty power games, never suspect the predators in their midst. This is easier than I thought. The night of the assassination arrives. Mercedes creates a distraction, her seductive dance captivating the guards. I slip away, silent as a shadow. The target's surprised gasp is cut short as my claws tear through his throat. Blood sprays, painting the walls crimson. I inhale deeply, savoring the metallic scent. Chaos erupts as the body is discovered. She joins me, her dress splattered with gore. "The guards?" I ask. "Taken care of?" She grins, licking blood from her fingers. We fight our way out, a whirlwind of destruction. Limbs fly, screams fill the air, and the intoxicating rush of violence consumes us both. As we stand amidst the carnage, breathing heavily, Mercedes turns to me. Her eyes shine with a mixture of bloodlust and something deeper, more primal. "That was exhilarating," she breathes. I pull her close, claiming her lips in a fierce kiss. The taste of blood mingles between us, a reminder of the havoc we've wrought. The dark elf mansion burns, its once grand structure crumbling to ash. Flames lick the night sky, casting an otherworldly glow across her face. Her eyes reflect the inferno, twin pools of destruction that mirror my own. I squeeze her hand, savoring the warmth of her skin against mine. "Beautiful, isn't it?" She nods, a wicked smile playing on her lips, almost as beautiful as the screams. We turn away from the blazing ruins, hands still intertwined. The scent of smoke clings to us, a reminder of the chaos we've wrought. As we walk, her gaze finds mine. The hunger in her eyes ignites something primal within me. "Azaruk," she purrs, her voice husky with desire. "Take me home." I pull her close, my fingers tracing the curve of her jaw. "Those eyes of yours," I murmur. "I could get lost in them for eternity." My hands move to the fastenings of her dress, slowly revealing smooth skin beneath. A portal shimmers into existence behind us, beckoning us to our private sanctuary. "Then let's get lost together," Mercedes whispers against my lips. We step through the portal, leaving the burning world behind us.